A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Jane Ace had a talk with her brother Johnny about Mr. Ace's going out every night, and he told her that the way to hold on to her husband is to make him jealous. So Johnny is going to phone Jane tonight and arouse Mr. Ace's curiosity and jealousy. In the meantime, Mr. Ace has confided in Marge that he's been going out nights to sit for a portrait he's going to surprise Jane with. Our scene is the Ace's bungalow just after dinner. There goes the telephone, and here comes Jane to answer it. Listen.
Hello? Hello? Yes, this is Jane. Oh, Johnny, not yet. He's drinking his coffee. You can call me any time tonight because he's not going out tonight. No, he's not tonight, but he said he was again tomorrow night. So you can call me any time you want. What? What do you mean 3 times? Oh, I see. Oh, that's good, Johnny. Then you'll think a lot of different fellas are caught. Oh, I have to go now. Goodbye.
Who was that, Jane?
Oh, nobody. It was just nobody.
I mean, it wasn't Neil, was it?
No, it wasn't Neil. Listen, Marge, I want to tell you what I'm going to do tonight.
What?
Well, listen, come here. You know who that was on the phone? Johnny.
Johnny?
And not so loud. Johnny's going to call me up tonight like it was some fellas calling me up.
Like it was some fellow?
Yes. Now, don't you get it?
Don't I... Oh, I see. The old jealousy angle. Is that it?
Yes, isn't it a scream? I'm surprised I didn't think of it before. Johnny says it's the only way to make him forget about that other woman.
I see. You've talked it over with Johnny.
This morning. And he says that's the only way to make him jealous. Well, wait till he hears all these fellows calling me up.
All of them?
Yes, Johnny's going to call up each time like a different fellow.
No, I wouldn't overdo it.
What do you mean?
Well, Ace might get a little suspicious.
Oh, he doesn't know the first thing about it. The only thing is...
What?
Well, you know how he never does what I expect him to.
So you're afraid he won't fall for it, is that it?
I'm afraid he won't ask me who it was. So I thought if you could
Oh, now, Jane, leave me out of this.
Or you could help me.
How?
Well, I'm going to sort of talk around a little, sort of without saying anything. And then when I hang up, he'll say, who was that? I hope.
I hope you get your hope.
Yes, that's where you've got to come in. If he doesn't ask me, you say who was that.
Me? Oh, now, Jane,
please. I do it for you. Just say who was that. Is that going to hurt you?
Oh, well,
I mean, don't say it until we find out if he's going to say it.
I see. And how long shall I wait to see if he's going to say it?
Oh, we ought to give him about 10 or 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minutes?
Yes, you have to with him. You know how obsolete he can be sometimes.
I know. Well, I think he'll say it, Jane.
But if he doesn't now?
If he doesn't, I'll come to the rescue. But that's all I will say.
And that's all. You just leave the rest to me. Well, I better go in and clear away the table, or he'll be sitting there all night. I want him to be sitting out here. Oh, here you are, dear. I was just going in to clear the table.
Oh, okay. I was just going to light a cigar and read my paper.
All right. I'll be right back, dear.
Okay, Jane. Well, what's the joke?
Listen, things are going to happen here tonight, and you're expected to play your part.
Things? What things?
Well, Jane had a talk with Johnny about your going out every night.
She did?
And Johnny advised that she try the jealousy angle on you. He's going to be calling up here tonight, and Jane's going to sound like some admirers on the phone. Get it?
And I'm supposed to be the jealous husband? Is that the...
Well, the idea back of it is that you stop going out night.
Oh, I see. Well, I'll do all I can to spoil the little plan Johnny thought of.
Oh, now, don't you think you ought to act up to it?
Oh, I think it would be more fun if I just ignored it.
Oh, but you can't ignore it, because I was just coached to ask who it is if you don't ask it.
Oh, I see. Well, you're going to have to ask it.
Well, I don't want to ask it. I feel like a traitor.
Well, let's let her worry a little while first, and then we'll just let matters take their course.
I'm afraid things are going to get a little confused if you don't say something, or I don't. She told me to give you 10 or 15 minutes in which to say it.
10 or 15 minutes? Uh-oh. Things are beginning to happen already.
No, that might be for me. I expect Neil to call me. I'll answer. Hello? Oh, this is Marge. Oh, just a minute. Johnny trying to disguise his voice.
Johnny?
No. Jane!
I'm going to be wrapped up in this newspaper here.
I still think it's a dirty trick to play on her. Jane!
Did you call me? Oh, it's the phone. Well, why didn't you call me? I wonder who this can be.
Well, I see conditions in Europe are still as unsettled as ever, Mars.
Yes, I noticed that. Doesn't seem to be any end to trouble.
Oh, hello?
But I guess things will solve themselves in time, don't you?
Yes, they usually do. I've always found that no matter how dark the clouds seem to be...
Just a moment, please. Marge, please, nobody can hear a word I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane.
Hello?
I don't know what the papers would print nowadays if they didn't have poor Europe to pick on. I was just reading the other day
Oh,
that
please, dear, can't you see I'm talking on the phone?
Well, yes, I see you're talking. I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Yes, you are. The least you can do is listen.
Listen.
Listen till I'm through.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. Make it snappy, will you?
Hello? Oh, hello. Yes, I should say this is a surprise. Foolish boy. Oh, you do not. Foolish boy. Wouldn't you like to know? Why, I've been right here all your life. Oh, you do not. Foolish. Well, goodbye then.
I was just reading in the paper the other day a story by some foreign correspondent.
What did you say, dear?
What?
Did you ask me who that was?
Oh, no, I'm talking to Marge.
Oh, I thought you said who was that on the phone.
Oh, I know who that was.
Yes.
You do?
Yes, that was Foolish. How is Foolish nowadays? I haven't seen Foolish in months.
Yes, but who is foolish? That's what you don't know.
Don't I?
You left yourself open for that one, Jane.
Well, he doesn't know.
What was I saying, Marge? Oh, yes, about an article I read in the paper the other day.
Oh, shoot.
What?
Oh, nothing.
What'd you say?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? Oh, I was so surprised to get that phone call. Isn't it funny the people you don't hear from for such a long time, and he suddenly calls you up?
Yes.
Well, that's life, I guess. We're only young once in a while, but it was a surprise.
Oh, these cartoons in the paper kill me.
Which one is that?
Oh, all of them. I mean, now you take this fellow Bungle. He gets into more trouble.
Oh, I like him. And Skippy, don't you?
Oh, yeah, he's one of my favorites. But I've been missing him lately. I've been so busy nights that I haven't had time to read the papers all the way through.
Oh, you've been missing some good ones. The one last night where Skippy talks another kid out of money for a soda.
Yeah, I like those.
They're awfully clever.
Yeah.
Oh, my, what a surprise I got. I can't get over it. Oh, the telephone. I wonder who this is.
Well, now, getting back to the situation in Europe.
Stop it.
Oh, hello? This is Jane. No, not Jane Sherwood. I'm married now. Oh, yes, I've been married over 5 years. My name is Jane Ace. I married Mr. Ace. He's in the real estate business, and we're doing pretty good. We've been living here almost 5 years now. Who is this? Who? Well, of all people. Silly. Why, how could I guess? I haven't seen you since... Oh, well, sure, I remember that dance. Silly. Oh, anytime. Hey. What? Please, Morris, not so much noise. What did you say? Oh, silly. All right. Well, goodbye then. Well, of all people. What?
Oh, all right. Jane, who was that?
Well, it never rains in my porch. 2 of them in one night.
Who was that?
What?
Who was that, or were they, or something?
Oh, that last one? Oh, well.
Oh, I see. Going to be secretive.
What?
Well, don't you want to tell us who they were?
Oh, I don't think anybody's interested, are they?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you.
Well, come now, Jane. After all, if you're going to make a game out of this, what?
Well, it's a game that 2 can play, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Well, what you don't know won't hurt you.
All right, Jane, if you don't want to tell.
Oh, well, nobody's interested in what I do, but I was sure surprised. Well, you could have knocked me down with a fender.
There's an idea.
What?
There's nothing. I was just thinking.
Oh, there's no use trying to think. You wouldn't know him anyhow.
Wouldn't know who.
Well.
Well.
Well, I tried to find out who it was. I did my best.
Oh, you wouldn't know him, Marge.
No, I wouldn't. He didn't seem to know much about you either, did he?
What do you mean?
He didn't know you were married?
No, he was so surprised.
And he didn't know you were married, May?
No, he was so surprised.
And still he knew how to look you up in the phone book?
No, he was... What?
I say he knew under what name to look you up in the phone booth?
Oh, stop changing the subject.
Well, he must be psychic.
Yes, an old sidekick of mine. What did you say?
Nothing. I was just clearing my throat.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
What were you saying about conditions in Europe, eh?
Oh, yes. What was I saying now?
Something about an article you read somewhere by some foreign correspondent?
Oh, yeah, some foreign correspondent. Who was it now?
Wouldn't you like to know?
No. Yes, I'd like to remember who it was that...
Well, of all things, another phone call.
My, aren't you popular?
Well, some people appreciate me, I guess. I wonder who this will be.
So do I.
Well, we've had foolish and silly. Now who?
Hello? Well, of all people, hello, how are you? Well, this is certainly a surprise. Oh, crazy. I'm just fine. Well, it's just been years since I saw you. What? Well, it seemed like years. Crazy. Oh, you. What? What did you say? Who? Who is this? Oh, excuse me. Marge, it's for you. It's Neil.
Well, Jane will have to do better than that if her plan to make Mr. Ace jealous is going to work out. We'll learn more about it when next we meet the Easy Ace.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, Field Study by Peter Phillips.
You might put down that newspaper for just a minute, Frank.
Oh, of course, dear. So this is good coffee, honey.
Now, what is it going to be? That's what I want to know. Overtime or that big night out you promised me?
Well, I just can't say for sure, honey. I'll phone you during the day.
Look, you've been working on that Mitchell embezzlement for 3 months, day and night. Now that it's over, I think you'd want to celebrate.
Well, I do, dear, I do. But I don't know just what this new assignment will involve.
Oh, this is it. This is absolutely the end. You can change your job or change your wife, Frank.
Oh, no,
I thought I married a man, not an accounting machine.
I guess I do seem like an accounting machine to Betty sometimes. Maybe she should have married a different kind of guy. Someone who likes to go out dancing and to parties all the time. And who has some kind of romantic career. The quiet life she had with me made her tense and nervous. No, more than that. Neurotic. Actually, the work I did was rather interesting, although she didn't feel that way about it. Being an investigator for the accountancy branch isn't exactly like being one of those detectives as smart as Einstein and as tough as Marciano, but we do get into some unusual situations. And now there was this new assignment the chief had given me.
All I want you to do is see him, Frankie. You can be normally curious, but that's all. If you question him, make it simple. And if he gets cagey, cut it out. You're not going as an agent. You're just an errand boy. Take what he hands out and bring it back. Get on it right away.
Although I got there early, the waiting room was filled with about 40 people. 40 people who seemed to have everything from Parkinson's disease to muscular atrophy. In 40 years, I'd never had anything wrong with me but a postnasal drip, but I was prepared with the symptoms of an obscure ailment. I didn't have an appointment, but I had hardly sat down when the receptionist came over and ushered me into the office.
I'll be with you in just a moment. Please sit down.
Thank you. This is good of you, Doctor, but I was perfectly willing to wait my turn.
Well, I'm entitled to use my own discretion. You're an interesting case. And please don't call me doctor. In the healing profession, that title's reserved for those who have taken the Hippocratic Oath. My name is Trancor.
Mm-hmm. You said I'm an interesting case. How do you know about my case? You've never seen me before.
My receptionist has intuitive diagnostic ability. Now, what are your symptoms?
It seems you should be able to tell me.
Well, let's say the recital is part of the treatment. But if you'd rather not bother, just take this capsule in water.
But this is ridiculous. How do I know?
You don't. I make no claims. You can take the capsule or leave it. How many tokens, how much money do you have with you?
Now, listen, Doctor.
No, I'm not a doctor. How much?
Oh, about $50, I suppose.
Well, give me $25 for the capsule, which you take on faith. If you take it, well?
All right, I'll take it. I'm afraid that's all there is to report, Chief.
That's all right. All we really wanted was the capsule.
Have you gotten the report?
Yes, and it took the laboratory 5 hours to break it down. Just a harmless protein solution. 2 other investigators got the same thing.
What about the genuine patients?
They get a solution of water and a vegetable dye. They're both useless, but when he spots an investigator, he tries to give our lab man a headache.
Well, if he prescribes useless medicines, can't Trancor be booked for fraud?
How? He doesn't make any claims for the blaster thing.
How come he's on our level? Why the accountancy branch?
Could be anybody's case. But every time a direct law enforcement agency has tried to investigate, the man has disappeared. They think we may be more discreet.
What else do we know?
A great deal. Then again, nothing. We have reports from law agencies and medical societies in London, Paris, Berlin, and Prague. Oh, that reminds me. Miss Hance, please ask Sir Greville to come in now. He sets up in business. Word of his cures gets around, he becomes a sensation, and then disappears. Thank you for waiting, Sir Greville. This is Frank Pake, who will be in charge of our investigation.
How do you do?
Frank, this is Sir Greville Gray, chairman of the English Medical Association.
How do you do, sir?
Suppose you tell Pake your own experience with Trancor, Sir Greville.
Well, after conferring with my colleagues in other countries, I managed to have an interview with him when he set up shop in London. He's an impudent little devil, called me the chief witch doctor. When I said we'd prosecute, he flatly denied that he practiced medicine at all.
What about the capsules?
He said he simply offered the capsules because people expected something material. He said it made no difference whether they took them or not. In a word, he disclaims everything, even success.
Perhaps legally he's in the clear.
You mentioned his success. Do you credit him with success?
I think he's a faker and a fraud. But some reputable doctors report that their own patients seem to have been cured of advanced leukemia, peritonitis, and appendicitis. That's why we must investigate these fantastic rumors as a professional and public duty.
Just what do you want me to do, Chief?
Find out all you can. Have them watch. Check with patients and stay with it. He may disappear at any time.
This is a fine time for an assignment like this. My wife is about ready to get a psychiatrist or another husband.
I'm sorry, Frankie, but you're the only one I can trust on a thing like this, and it shouldn't take long.
Okay, Chief. You have a cigarette? Mine seem to be all gone.
No wonder. You smoked half a dozen while we've been talking. Here.
Thanks. I guess I do smoke too much. Probably what causes this post-nasal drip. But... Say, that's funny.
What?
My head is cleared up. My nasal drip is gone. Since I saw Trancor this morning.
Yeah? Oh, it probably cleared up by itself.
But I've had it for years. Well, I hope you're right. Oh, look, sweetheart, I know I practically promised, but I can't make it tonight.
I've been hearing that over and over.
But, darling, this is a special case. It's detective work. The police are helping me.
Oh, so you think you're a real G-man now, huh? A big, tough hero running around with a bottle of rye and a blonde.
Oh, sweetie.
Listen, hero, I hope they shoot first. I'm through.
Oh, it's nothing like that, honey. Now, you're just upset and unreasonable. Well, look, I'll try to be home early. I'll call you.
Don't bother. I won't be here. I heard from an old school friend today, and since you're going to be busy, I may as well go out.
Oh, but baby,
I'll
listen.
see you around town. And if you do get home early, don't wait up.
was alone in the office all evening, thinking about Betty, thinking about Trancor. I remembered Betty's crack about a bottle of rye, so I called the liquor store and had them send up a pint. Every now and then I got a call from a detective saying they were still watching the office. Then there was a call from another detective saying that he had picked up Trancor at the entrance of the office building and trailed him to a hotel just off Broadway. I took down the number and was about to leave when the first detective called again. He said they were still waiting at the office door and that there was still no sign of Trancor. I didn't try to explain. I didn't want to think about it. What could I say? That he flew out the window? I took another drink of rye and went to the hotel. As I got there, a figure came out of the building. I wasn't sure, but I followed him.
Good evening, Mr. Pate. How are your nasal passages?
Fine, thank you. Yes, they're better.
Walk with me, won't you? But first signal your policeman that he needn't follow us.
All right. All right, now tell me something, will you? Am I mad?
No, you're more sane than most. Your higher critical centers are momentarily dulled by fatigue and alcohol, giving full rein to your intuition. An endearing quality when allied with imagination. The saving grace, indeed, of your race.
You're from India, aren't you?
Trancor is a good Indian name. Incidentally, fatigue is a disease.
But don't cure me. I don't want to wake up. Let me close my eyes a minute. Are you still here?
Did you expect me to disappear? I could quite easily, by convincing you of my non-presence, as I did when I walked past those men outside my office. Don't you want to ask me some questions?
Maybe I do, but why do you want to answer them? So you figure I'm harmless, huh? Like my wife does.
By no means. I went about to conclude my own particular investigation. I would say that you were most dangerous to me. Your imagination is quite highly developed.
You know, all of a sudden, I'm not drunk at all anymore. And I need a drink. Come on, let's go in here.
Very well.
A double rye, please.
The same. Just leave the bottle. That's better. I was thirsty.
You drank half the bottle.
I make sure to eliminate the poisons in the alcohol, thus the toxic effects. As a rule, I don't drink, but when in Rome...
Wait a minute. I remember reading a story once. You're from the future.
Your imagination deserves something better than comic strips to work on. It's fascinating, but depressing to see science negated by superstition. Your concept of time is the greatest superstition.
Well, now let's go back. You did cure my postnasal drip, didn't you?
The infection was cured by your body. I helped. I can't tell you how unless you have 500 years to spare.
Well, I don't. I haven't got 12 hours to spare. If I'm to save my job, my reputation, or my wife. I do need some answers to a pretty lengthy questionnaire. Who, when, what, why, and where.
You're convinced I'm a telepath?
Well, aren't you?
Not in your sense of the term. When you came into my waiting room, I knew you were not there as a patient. Your presence was in disharmony. As for your name and occupation, they naturally blazed so clearly on the surface of your mind that even your native clairvoyance could read the information.
Well, that takes a load off my mind. Are you too big for me to understand?
We'll see. I'm just looking at that girl over there. What a pity. 3/4 of her right lung is gone.
Yeah? Well, you could put her right.
Well, I could stop the infection. But she would return to that back room full of smoke and dust. She'd still travel on a crowded subway to an overheated office. She'd still starve herself to buy clothes to keep in fashion. I don't have a cure for those things.
Well, that's the first time I've heard you admit you have a cure for anything. What are you, Mr. Trancor?
A healer. That is my profession.
Well, why do you bother to do anything?
Well, even a healer must eat, you know. And field research is expensive. Of course, I could obviously earn sufficient of your tokens for subsistence by gambling. But that would not be ethical.
You could teach.
What? Run afoul of your witch doctors? Besides, these techniques have taken me 500 years to learn.
Well, that's why I thought...
That I was from the future? Well, I might be in terms of possibility. We are no older than you are as a race, in terms of universal evolution, but as individuals we are longer-lived. The biggest single advance you will make as a race will be when you increase the lifespan of the individual.
You could help us.
We could, but that must be achieved by your own efforts.
Are we so contemptible in your eyes?
Of course not. Would we study you if you were? Our architects, our musicians, even our fiction writers do field work in this territory and write scholarly theses when they return. Anthropology, in our sense of the term, embraces all the arts and sciences. We are scholars. Occasionally, we innovate, and you benefit.
Why do you want to tell me this?
Frankly, I like you. You have imagination enough to control your terrestrial chauvinism, your natural resentment of being studied. It may comfort you to know that in the physical sciences, your race is considered quite well advanced.
Well, thank you. And come to think of it, I do resent being a bug under your microscope. I hate it. I could kill you.
But you won't. Others would. Now you understand why our visits are unannounced. Will be until all men are as essentially civilized, that is to say, non-aggressive, as you are.
How do you come here?
I know what you're wondering. But no, I don't have a spaceship garaged anywhere. You see, we don't travel. We arrive. Afraid the distinction is not clear to you, but it'll have to do. Now, I must go to work. I have only 8 hours. Will you be my guide?
What do you want to see?
The city at play in the pre-dawn hours.
I think my wife would suit you better in the role of a guide. She's playing pretty hard right now.
This situation makes you unhappy?
Well, yes, of course it does. I guess I'm not overly emotional, but I do love Betty. I want her to be happy. With me. Oh, she frets and nags, and she's hard to please, but she's not really like that. She keeps herself busy with trivial things. It's as if she were afraid of important things.
And what are the important things?
Well, I don't know exactly. Helping people some way or other, I guess.
You have any idea where your wife might be?
Well, there are a couple of nightclubs she likes.
Could we go there a little later? No, don't worry. I promise there'll be no unpleasant consequences if we meet. But now, let's get going.
We made the early morning rounds of Manhattan. The bars, nightclubs, penny arcades. We played a pinball machine, and I watched the steel ball hit the prize number 25 times. We quit bowling after his second straight 300 game, and I didn't even bother to pick up a cue in the billiard parlor. Then we went to the Clover Club, where I saw Betty at a table in a low-cut evening gown. She was sitting with a big curly-haired guy who looked like an ex-football player who was wearing shoulder pads under his jacket.
You see her?
Yes, there she is, in that practically non-existent dress. Would you consider me uncivilized if I poked that big dope in the eye?
Let's go over. And remember, you're not altogether without blame in this development. You make insufficient allowance for her. You're reasonably well adjusted. She is not.
Hi, Betty.
Frankie, where did you come from?
Who's your friend?
Excuse me, please. I have to make a phone call.
Frankie, please get me a cab so I can go home.
Go home? All right, dear.
I'll be waiting for you. Hurry as soon as you can. I mean, when you're finished with your work.
It's beautiful here, watching the lights on the river. How do you feel?
My head is clear, but I'm a little drunk from the neck down. It's like a dream.
I wish sometimes I could escape reality so easily, by imparting to it the patina of a dream. You can all do that. I almost envy you.
Look, the dawn is coming up. The stars are fading.
Yes. It's time for me to say goodbye, Mr. Peck.
But can you at least tell me which star?
You haven't seen it or named it yet. Promise to take care of Mr. Trancourt for me, won't you? Make sure that he gets safely home. Find his address in this pocket.
Goodbye, Mr. Trancourt.
Yes. Goodbye.
That's the way it happened, Chief. The body collapsed in my arms there on the bridge. When it came to, the man was Chandra Trankor, a second-rate doctor who disappeared from Madras 10 months ago.
How do you expect anyone to believe that?
Those doctors and cops can examine the poor devil till they drive him crazy, but he can't tell them anything. He has less idea where he's been these past 10 months than they have.
How do you explain it?
I don't. And I'd like you to hurry through my resignation, Chief.
That's what you want.
I want to be free to take legal action for Trankor if those witch doctors have him arrested on some phony charge. I'll take personal responsibility for seeing him home to India.
You don't have to resign. I'll fix special leave if you insist on being crazy.
Well, that's not all, though, Chief. You see, I'm taking an intensive 2-year course for a new career.
Yes, you told me. I thought you were drunk. What's Betty going to think of a fool idea like that? If her nerves are on edge now, this is enough to drive anyone daffy.
No. She's all for it. She really is. After all, a neurosis is a disease, and she met Trankor.
Well, all right. Let me know how you're getting along. A letter from Peck, Miss Hance. From the Mabello Medical Mission, Upper Congo. It's been 3 years since we heard from Peck. This is probably the most backward tribe mentally and physically in all
Africa. Some trouble with the witch doctors at first, but they're beginning to trust me, with Betty's help. The women here love her, and she finds the tribal customs fascinating. Watch out for my name in the Anthropological Review.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Operation Stinky by Clifford D. Simak. What is man's best friend? The answer was so vital that every possible resource that could be found had to be poured into this one great project. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Field Study, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Peter Phillips and adapted for radio by Jack Wilson. Featured in our cast were Terry Keane, Les Damon, Santos Ortega, Alfred Shirley, and Kermit Murdoch. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Can you identify the NBC bandstand jingle jangler? He or she is a famous personality, and you may win $1,000 if you can identify him. To enter the NBC bandstand jingle jangler contest, send a postcard with your name and address and phone number to NBC Bandstand, Box 515, New York, 19, New York. Enter today. NBC takes you across the nation, around the world, with news on the hour and the hotline service all day, every day on most of these stations.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, Real Gone, starring Al Jasbo Collins. Playing, of all things, Al Jasbo Collins.
Oh, come in. Come in. Glad to see you. Albert here, your Collins friend. Just a minute. I'll close the door. You know, when you run a disc jockey show, the song pluggers just seem to ooze through the grain of the wood. There. Now, we won't be bothered for a while. Have a seat. I'll take this record off the chair. Hound Dog. Exclusive to me. Sung by Helen Traubel with the Vienna State Symphony Orchestra. Under the direction of Felix Weingartner. Now sit down. You do the writing for that Real Gone show on NBC, don't you? That X-1 with the rocket ships and the three-headed men from Mars and all that jazz. Well, that's why I asked you up. I ran into a little something. Just an idea, you know. I figured maybe you could English it up and use it. It's about a friend of mine, Ralph Therian. Did you ever hear him? He's an artist. I don't mean records or a musician. I mean an artist, a sculptor. I ran into him during the war. He used to sit in the barracks making busts of the sergeants out of GI soap. When they had him on KP, they couldn't trust him to peel potatoes. He'd end up doing caricatures of the captain and the lieutenants out of raw spuds. Man, he was the greatest. He got the whole company restricted for a week when we were stationed somewhere near Boston. It snowed, and he made a life-size statue out of snow and ice depicting the captain sitting in a howdah on the back of an elephant. The captain didn't mind so much, but the elephant happened to look like the regimental colonel, and he took a dim view of the entire affair. Ralph studied in France somewheres under the GI Bill of Rights, and I used to run into him once in a while on 57th Street. He's looking kind of hungry and desperate. Then one day, a couple of green weeks ago, I ran into him on Madison Avenue, and, man, he looked like he belonged. He had one of them Tyrolean chapeaux with a shaving brush stuck on one side, an important German loading coat, and he was carrying a snakeskin dispatch case.
Al! Albert!
Well, hello, Ralph, my friend.
Well, you're looking great, Al. Hey, I like that beard.
Thanks.
Kind of gives your face the Mount Rushmore quality.
It's generally admired, my friend, but what brings you over here on this Street of Dreams? I was under the impression an artist was immediately downgraded 3 degrees of integrity when he set foot on Madison Avenue.
I was just up seeing a client.
A client? You've given up the sculpting kick.
Oh, no, I'm just working in a new medium.
Well, you look real prosperous.
How do you like the shoes?
Oh, very dapper. Very dapper. I don't believe I've ever seen lizard skin huaraches before.
Had them imported. Made underwater by natives of Ecuador.
Yeah.
Takes about 3 hours to have them made. So they use about 12 natives per pair.
Ralph, my friend, you give the general impression that you are loaded with loot.
I am. There's money in art. Money. You've just got to get something new. Here, wait a minute. Let me open my case. Here, Al. Take a look at this.
What is that, an ice cube?
Look inside.
Now, man, that's real entrancing. What is it?
That is a detailed copy of Rodin's The Kiss.
Pretty sexy. How do you do it?
Well, you see, I carve it from underneath the plastic block.
Oh, it looks sort of solid to me. How do you get in?
Well, look at the bottom. You see that little hole? I worked through there with my engraving instruments. Of course, this is just a sample. I've been doing originals, mostly.
What are the little cubes good for? Paperweights, I guess, huh?
This is art, Albert, art. Do you know how much I get for one of these?
Beats me.
$5,000.
Oh, that's a pretty stiff price for a paperweight.
Well, you just don't understand, Al. This is the hottest thing since Picasso. I just sold 2 original compositions to Morgenstern. You know, the dealer from Philadelphia? For $25,000.
25? Wow. I should have paid attention when Mama bought me that clay when I was a little boy.
Well, it's about time the creative artist got a little bit of recognition.
Recognition's not the point, man. At 25 G's, I wouldn't care if people walked past me in high noon.
That's because you're not an artist. The money's secondary.
Money is never secondary. Money is the primariest thing there is.
Al, would you be interested in a fine original composition?
Well,
I'll make a special price for you, Albert. $4,000.
No, Ralph, my friend. I keep my papers from blowing off my desk with my right foot and my left piled one on top of the other, and I find that quite adequate to the needs and aspirations.
Well, the trouble with you is you've got no soul.
The trouble with me is I have not got $4,000. This sort of thing is happening to me all the time. For example, I have a barber who plays unaccompanied Bach chaconnes with a 1/4-inch drill and a length of steel pipe. I figured Ralph Therian was stringing me until I ran into Vladimir Osepsky. Now, Vladi is one of these men who leads a double life. He composes concerti and avant-garde operas under his Square moniker, but he's better known in the Brill Building as Larry Oss. He got in on the ground floor of this rock and roll affair, and he took an already substantial fortune and ran it up to a fantastic munificence. Larry has money he hasn't even folded yet, and he collects art. I was up at his house one night discussing such things as Tin Roof Blues and Wozzeck by Albin Berg, and Larry got around to showing me his collection.
Now, this is Picasso.
Larry, that's what I call cool brushwork, my man. Cool.
I homed it next to the Tintoretto for contrast.
Well, this stuff runs into a pile of loot.
Well, I figure since I've launched rock and roll on an unsuspecting public, the least I can do is collect old masters and leave them to the nation when I die.
It figures. I mean, that figures.
Here's my latest. Look, isn't it beautiful?
You mean this hunk of plastic?
Yes. Look into it. That design, that composition, the delicacy of that line. Well, this is the most exciting discovery in art since the invention of red paint.
Larry, was this piece of Jim Crackery executed by one Ralph Therian?
That's right. You know him?
Mm-hmm.
Remarkable talent. Remarkable. A genius.
And how much did this stroke of genius cost you, if you don't mind my mentioning a crude thing like money?
Not at all. Not at all. It was a steal. I got it from Morgenstern. Oh, I outfoxed him. I got it from him for only $30,000.
Yeah, you outfoxed him, all right. Tell me something, Larry. What makes this worth $30,000?
Albert, what makes a Stradivarius worth $30,000 and a fiddle played on the street by a beggar? $3, huh?
You mean his stuff is that good?
It's art, Albert. This is art. This is genius. To work with such delicacy and such control and such genius in so small a space. You see, that's it. This plastic block is how long? About 2 inches? And yet within this 2 inches is the majesty, the feeling of a sculpture 20, 30 feet high. This is an art which has not been known in the world since the painters of miniatures in the late Renaissance.
Why, then it's for real.
For real. This is the gem of my collection. The Picasso, the Renoir, the Cézanne will, in time, fade into insignificance. This is a new art form. Brilliant. Brilliant. And now let me play a new record we're putting out. It's called I Love You, Baby, 'Cause Your Lower Lip Drags on the Ground. A real cool you-bangy beat.
Well, I let Ralph Therian's new art form slip my mind for a while I struggled with song pluggers, advertising salesmen, account executives from the agency. And I met him again a few weeks ago at a small cultural establishment on the corner where I work. You might call it sort of branch public library with a brass rail.
Hey, what's the idea of putting this lemon peel in? If I wanted a fruit salad, I'd ask for it.
How do you do, Ralph, my friend?
Oh, hello, Al.
You look like you're thriving, my man.
Well, as a matter of fact, I just signed a contract with Morgenstern to deliver $100,000 worth of my original compositions. I'm celebrating.
In here? Man, this place is only fit for sweating out the downhill phase on a manic-depressive psychosis.
Oh, I'm just starting here. I intend to work my way up. Albert, be my guest.
Well, I just had a difficult morning with the station manager who has an illusion in his little ricky-ticky mind that my program is the answer to Lawrence Welk and Guy Lombardo. He'd been trying to convince me to program 2 solid hours of Wayne King, relieved by vocals by Frank Crummett and Julia Sanderson. I had resisted, and I was in the mood for eating the lotus and forgetting. Several hours later, Ralph was feeling very confidential.
Albert, my friend, I like you. Why don't you shave?
Ralph, love me, love my beard.
I will try. Albert, you have the look of an Abraham Lincoln gone hog wild among the cream puffs.
Ralph, you have an artist's soul.
Albert, I trust you, I trust you, I trust you.
I am touched.
And so, Albert, I'm going to take you to my studio. My secret studio.
And I will reciprocate, my friend. Tomorrow, when I am doing my disc show, you may come to my secret studio. With the esteem that my program is held in today, tomorrow I'll be doing my broadcast from a small hole with a round iron top and plenty of running water below.
What time is it?
something.
I'm late. Hurry.
He took me to a loft somewhere down in the banana warehouse section. He had 3 locks on the door, and he opened them with 3 separate keys. I stepped inside and took a look around. The loft stretched a whole city block. The only thing that kept the New York Rangers from using it as a practice rink was the lack of ice. It was empty, except in one corner of the room there was a mess of machinery. Looked as if someone had eviscerated a television set and left it to die of shock. There was a weaselly-looking little man in a shiny blue suit standing in the middle of the floor tapping his foot.
Syrian, I've been waiting for half an hour. Where have you been?
Now, take it easy, Burson. Take it easy. Plenty of time.
I've told you the active life of the catalyst is only... Who's this?
This is my friend Al. Al Collins.
Well, who is he? And what is he doing here? I've told you we must have no one here.
Now, he's my friend. I trust him.
Oh, I suppose you've told him all about it.
Yes, I have. Have you got the stuff?
Certainly I have. 3 ampules. But it won't last. You've got to hurry. Roll up your sleeves.
Oh, now, just a minute, both of you gentlemen. If I've been brought down here to witness the inoculation of a little happy juice into somebody's arm, I'm leaving. I have no desire to tangle with the Federal Narcotics Bureau.
Now, Albert, do I look like I'm taking narcotics?
I wouldn't swear to it.
You don't understand. In those little glass bottles is a secret of $100,000. And I'm going to show you how I do it. First, we take a plastic cube out of my pocket. So. We put it down on the grid in the middle of the floor. So. Now, if you will kindly step to the outside of the white line painted on the floor. Back there. Go ahead. Now, Mr. Burson, we'll turn on the machinery. Now, I take this vial of catalyst, thus, and pour it over the plastic block. So. Now, we wait.
We stood there at the edges of that loft and watched that tiny plastic block sitting in a frame on the middle of the floor. And then suddenly it began to grow. In about 20 minutes, that cute little plastic block stood about 20 feet on its side. It almost touched the skylight, and there was about a foot of clearance on each wall.
See, the long organic chain of molecules in the plastic is infinitely expandable under the right conditions.
Is that a fact?
By applying the right voltages in series, we can expand the cube to about this size. But there's an outside limit due to the cohesive charge on the molecules.
Oh, naturally, of course. Those molecules do stick together.
Well, it's the catalyst that does it. And I make that. I make the catalyst. You hear that, Therian? I make it.
Now, calm down, Burson. Without me, you just have a great big blob of plastic. I'm the one who turns it into money. You see, Albert, a cube this big is as soft as putty inside. Now, I take my pneumatic drill and I make a hole in the bottom. And then my tools, and I start to carve my pretty sculptures inside.
Therian, I'm warning you. I won't take this kind of treatment for long.
Now, calm down, Burson. You're getting your 10% cut.
10%? 10%? Why, before I brought you this process, the only artwork you could get people to look at was mustaches on subway advertisements.
Burson, that is the typical wailing of the non-creative technician. Envy, pure envy for genius. Now look out. I'm going under there and start work.
I want 50%, Therian. 50%. That's only fair, isn't it? I put it to you, Mr. Collins.
Just keep me out of it, gentlemen. Leave me out of it.
I'm warning you, Therian. I'm warning you.
Just get out of my way, grease monkey. Let an artist work.
Ralph crawled under the giant cube and started to work. I could see what he was drawing, a collection of lovely ladies, something like the closing number at the Union City Burlesque. Didn't look very good. The lines were kind of thick and muddy, had a kind of a soft and sloppy quality to it, just about as if you were carving in butter. Took him about an hour, and then he crawled out.
Just about in time. Well, what does it say on that watch?
You've got about 20 seconds left. You cut it pretty fine there, Therian.
It's all right. It's a masterpiece. Wait a minute. Okay, now. There she goes.
Well, now, what happened was that plastic cube that was blown up to about 20 feet on the side suddenly popped like a balloon with a cigarette stuck in it. And what ended up was that tiny little 2-inch cube sitting in the middle of the floor. Ralph picked it up and brought it over.
Look at it. Beautiful. Beautiful. The work of genius.
The work of science.
Makes a real nice paperweight.
Albert, my friend, what you have just seen was the creation of a $20,000 masterpiece. Take a good look.
I did take a good look. The whole design was there. But what had looked to me like kind of a muddy, buttery picture when it was 20 feet high was now sharp and beautiful and clear as a snowflake. I went back to the studio and demonstrated my independence by scheduling 2 solid hours of Dizzy Gillespie. The next day, I got a telephone call just before I went on the air. It was Ralph asking me to come over to the studio. Said it was important. So, after the show, I shook the last song plugger out of my lapels and headed down to Ralph Therian's loft. I found that fellow Burson walking up and down at the edge of the room, looking at his stopwatch nervously. They had another plastic cube blown up in the middle of the room, and Ralph was inside the cube working. They were having quite an argument.
I know you got paid off today, Therian, $100,000. I know you got it, and I want my share, 50%.
Don't bother me. I'm working.
Hi, Ralph.
Oh, hi there, Albert. Just a minute. Wait till I crawl out.
I warned you. You can't say I didn't warn you. There'll be no more of the catalyst. No more.
Listen to him, Al. That's why I asked you over. I wanted a witness. And you're the only one who knew all about it already.
Oh, now, look, gentlemen, I told you not to get me involved in this.
Now, listen. This little worm, this test tube termite, had the gall to threaten not to bring any more of that catalyst.
But I warned you. I want my share of that $100,000.
If you'll excuse me, I'll get back into that masterpiece. That catalyst is only good for 2.7 hours. Hand me the drill, will you, Burton?
Here it is. But I warned you.
Boy, the plastic is tough today.
All right.
A lower grade.
I warned him. He must have the money here somewhere. Yes, there must be somewhere. Bills. Your check stubs.
What are you doing over there, Burton?
Looking. Just looking.
Well, if you're looking for that $100,000, you can stop. I've got it right here in my pocket. Now, don't bother me while I finish work.
What? Therian, come out of there. Come out.
I've got to finish just a little more.
Come out, you don't understand. Come out. Get out of my way, Mr. Collins.
With pleasure.
Therian, hand me that money. Quick.
Get out of my way, Burton. I'm working.
But listen, you don't understand. The catalyst.
Let go of me.
The catalyst. I made it up half strength. Give me that money. Quick, the money.
Well, that's all there was to it. I figured out that little fella from the plastic company figured he'd get himself a new sculptor when he made up that catalyst half strength. The two of them were in there when the roof fell in. The roof and the walls. Well, that's about all there is to it. Figured you might be able to use the story. I wrote a few notes on it. They're here somewhere, under the paperweight. Oh, would you like to see the paperweight? Little plastic cube about 2 inches. Look in there. Two fellers with their hands around each other's throat. Looks realistic, don't it? As if they were squeezing. Of course, this one's an improvement on the work Ralph Therian did. This one's in full color.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features The Victim from Space. A time to sow, a time to reap, a time to live. All the Agathians agreed with this, but not when it came to a time to die. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Real Gone by Ernest Kenoy, based on an idea by Al Jasbo Collins, and starring Al Jasbo Collins as himself. Featured in our cast.
The signal to submerge the magic island, the weird island of Euclidia. On board the Gregory yacht, Captain Bradford and Mrs. Gregory hurriedly transfer their valuables to the other captive boat, which is to be used in the escape, as they await anxiously for word from Jerry and Joan. The youngsters have gone down into the mysterious depths of the island in a brave attempt to cripple the Euclidean machinery and postpone pursuit of the Gregory boat. The boat is supposed to steal out of the lock at 8 o'clock. It is now after 7:30. How can Jerry and Joan get back to the yacht in time, if they get back at all? They are now making their way up a narrow and dangerous spiral concrete tube running from the top to the bottom of the island.
Are you doing all right, Joan?
I'm very tired, Jerry, but I will reach the platform.
Gee, we've climbed 50 feet up the inside of this cement baggage chute.
Not quite. It will be 50 feet when we get to that little platform.
Okay, kid. Don't lose your nerve. Now then, I've got my back braced against this thing. I think I can hold you. Let one of your feet slide. Slow now.
Right.
Slide it down the wall and see if I can hold it with my hand.
I feel as if I would fall, Jerry. You must hurry.
I got your foot all right, Joan. Now, I'll push as hard as I can without sliding down this thing. You try to crawl up far enough to get your hands over the edge of the platform. Ready?
I nearly have it. Yes, I have my hands on it.
Good. Then start pulling yourself up as hard as you can. I'll help you.
I think I can get on it now. Oh, Jerry, I am up.
Oh, swell. Now, if I can only stick here like a fly until I get my breath, I'll see if I can get up there.
This platform is large enough for me to lie down on. I will lie flat and hold my arms down to you. Then I can help you up.
Yeah, if I don't pull you off of there and both of us shoot down this thing again.
Oh, Jerry, I have found a small concrete arch behind which I may hook my heels. So, now I will be able to hold you. Give me your hands. Don't be afraid, Jerry. I can hold you easily.
Okay. Now I get my elbow up on this thing. Here we come. Oh, boy.
Oh, that was a terrible experience. And we are only halfway up now. This platform is on the 5th level.
Well, then we'll just have to go out into the 5th level and take our chances with what we find there. Neither of us can make another 50 feet of that.
You are right. It would be impossible.
Our hands and feet are probably all cut up now. Climbing 50 feet in a concrete pipe with your bare hands and stocking feet doesn't put you in very good shape for more climbing.
I think we are in our bare feet now, Jerry. The stockings must be cut to ribbons.
Oh, can I turn my flashlight on for a minute? I want to see what shape we're in before we run out there. We can be ready to answer questions about what happened to us when we find out what did happen.
I think you may use the light, Jerry.
Okay. Oh, gee, Joan, your feet are cut up awful bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, do not stop to be sorry now, Jerry. Listen.
Gee, they're still submerging this thing.
No, Jerry. They have not started to submerge it as yet.
But we heard the signal when we started to climb up here. And that must have taken us 15 or 20 minutes.
But the signal we heard just now, those 6 strokes on the alarm gong, means to stand by all stations to submerge. It must be that they are having trouble with the submerging operation.
Well, I hope we fixed up their old power plant so they can't ever submerge this crazy Euclidia again.
There is little hope there. It will be only a matter of time until they pump out the water that we let into the power chambers.
Then let's get going. We've got to make it to that radio room on the top and get a message off to Johnson before this goes under.
That signal to submerge will have taken all men to their stations, and there are no control stations in the sound channel. This platform opens off the sound channel. We will have to take a desperate chance, Jerry.
That won't be anything new for us. What is it?
We must cross the sound room and enter the private elevator of the control group.
Well, I'm ready to take the chance. Where will that elevator take us?
Directly into the voice transmission chambers on the surface of Euclidia. Then we will have to take over the controls and send the message.
Sounds easy. Okay, my little barefoot boy. Here we go.
Open the door gently, Jerry. Be sure that no one is in the sound chamber.
Yeah, check. Huh? No. Looks okay. I'm glad this is one of those noiseless doors.
Go on into the room, Jerry. We must hurry.
Yeah. Here we go, then. Now, where is that elevator?
In that corner of the room. We must pass through the sound zone. Do not shout as you did before.
Okay, I'll watch it. But what are we going to do if we find somebody waiting for us at the top of that elevator? Hey, listen to my voice.
Yes, Jerry. I warned you not to shout.
And now our bare feet sound like we had boots on.
We will be out of the zone in a few steps.
It'll be all right with me. I like noise when I want it, but when I'm trying to be quiet and... Hey, now the voice comes out right side up again.
And we are approaching the private elevator.
And when we get in this thing, can they hear our voices in the control room?
Certainly. We will be able to say nothing until we arrive in the control room on the surface level. Then I will speak to the guard, find some excuse to make him turn his back to me, and use the ray gun on him. That will give you 5 minutes to get the message to Johnson. Now open the door, Jerry.
Okay.
Speak no word until we meet the guard.
Yeah. You'd better run the elevator when we get in it. I never saw how this one works.
I shall do so. We may count the levels as we pass by the magnets moving the car. Now silence.
At which time you will report immediately to the control chamber. Station 91, Station 91. You will use all speed in discovering cause of delay in submerging. Check the entire 9th level by photo ray. At which time you will report immediately to the control chamber. Emergency diving stations. Signal to submerge. Repeat at 60-second intervals until operation begins. Signal stand by to submerge. Clear all channels to this chamber. Execute. What are you doing here, Cleostra?
I have come with this prisoner. He was given permission to go to the laboratory to aid in reviving the sleeping scientists. When we arrived at the laboratory, he refused. I was instructed to return him to the surface.
You young man, sit over there, in that steel chair. Not there, over here. Must I put you in the chair?
Gee, you did it again, Joan. You're sure slick with that ray gun.
He will sleep for 5 minutes, Jerry. That is not long. We must operate the voice transmission apparatus at once.
Is he the only guard in this place?
In this room, yes. Though in the power dispatching chamber directly below us, another guard is on duty.
Well, wouldn't he hear this ray gun go off?
No. That door leads to his room. It is closed and soundproof.
This seems too easy to me. Is there always just one guard in these places?
Of course not. But the others are busy trying to revive the sleeping chemists and preparing to submerge the island.
Yes, but if
Oh, Jerry, please. This is no time to argue. I will set the transmitter on the northerly directional beam. We must raise Johnson at once. I will also close all these local communication circuits so that there is no danger of anything we say being heard elsewhere on the island. Oh, Jerry.
Huh? What's the matter now?
This microphone was open. the intercommunicating circuit to the lower levels.
Gee, then somebody might have heard that ray gun.
Yes. Hurry with the message, Jerry.
Well, where do I talk? I mean, where's the beam thing I want?
Directly in front of you now, Jerry. I will give you the message quietly. You may repeat it. Get any station quickly.
Right. Here we go. J12C, Jerry Hall to any station. Emergency. Can you hear me, Wilmington? Hurry it up. Hello, J12C. Hello.
Hello. Waiting for hours with vent wide open. Shoot it fast. I'm ready.
Here it comes. Take it over, Joan. You can save time if I don't have to repeat it.
Joan Gregory to J12C. Message from Bradford. This is it. Every indication going have trouble. Possibly may feel unwise even leave free in this yacht. Many islanders lying and forced sleep. Doesn't indicate especially sincere enjoyment. Longer unusual silence envelops. Our waiting now. Perhaps later advice, nearer solution. That is all.
Right. Checking now. Your position sounds hopeless, but we'll let you know if I can contact the ship station. Anything else?
That is all.
Nice work, Joan. Johnson's got our message. But how far from the island is he? And how long will it take him to get here?
I have copied his answer. I think the captain will have a code for it.
Got your message here on the yacht. Good work, kids, but it's no use. They're pulling the yacht inside the lock again. And we're going to be submerged with the island. Better stay where you are. Dangerous to try getting back to yacht now.
We'll be all right here, Tex. We'll come through the island and meet you in the lock.
Right. Have cut Johnson's boat adrift. Orders from the island. Lock too small for 2 boats. So Johnson's boat is a total loss. Drifting out to sea.
The captain said they had cut the other boat loose, Jerry. And the yacht is being taken into the lock. Oh, that is wonderful.
You bet it's wonderful. Those guys don't know they're taking an empty boat into the lock. And that Captain Bradford and your mother and all our friends are on the boat they've turned loose. It's out in the open water now, Joan. The boat is free.
They've started to submerge, Jerry. In a moment, this room will be going underwater.
Then we'll swim for it. Come on, Joan. At least we can float, but Euclid is sunk.
When Jerry and Joan went down into the lower levels of the Magic Island, it was a desperate chance. But they succeeded in flooding the power rooms and cutting off most of the power on the island. Now they are in the radio chamber, sending instructions to Johnson, who is waiting north of the island, with another boat to aid in their escape. Captain Tex Bradford, Mrs. Gregory, and their crew are hidden in one of the captive boats, while Mrs. Gregory's yacht has been drawn into a lock and will be submerged with the island. The signal to submerge is being repeated as Jerry and Joan rush their plans in the radio room on top of the island. It is after dark, just 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. Exactly 10 minutes before the time planned for their escape.
That's all I've got time for now, J12C. Things are happening pretty fast here. We'll let you know as soon as you can safely call us on another wavelength.
Right, Jerry. I'll be standing by exactly as directed in your last message. Good luck, all. I'll keep it open till you call again.
Okay, Johnson. That's all. Gee, Joan, are you sure it was safe for me to come right out and talk to Johnson like that? What does that signal mean?
The submerging operation will actually begin now.
Well, let's get busy. What do we have to do?
I can do it much faster alone. You watch that guard on the floor. Remember, I only used a 300-second ray on him. The 5 minutes are nearly up. When he awakens, the instant he starts to move, use the ray gun again. Be sure it strikes him in the back of the neck.
Okay, Joan. I'll watch him. Hey, what are you doing down there?
First, I'll lock the guard in the room below. The magnetic locks will hold him until released by someone else. I throw the magnets, so...
Oh, now he can't get out to bother us, huh?
No. Now I will set all these levers in order. That will lock every chamber on the island, and it will be some time before any of the Euclideans will be able to pursue us, I think.
Boy, you sure know this island. Hey, did you feel the island shake a little bit then?
Yes, Jerry. The submerging has begun. But it will be very slow with the power rooms flooded as we left them. We will have ample time to lock all these levers.
Gee, I just got him in time. He sure started to wake up fast. Now we'll sleep for another 5 minutes, huh?
Yes. There. I think I have locked every chamber on the island.
Then we can send that last message to Johnson and get out of here, can't we?
At once. You may send it now, Jerry. You will be quite safe. Even if some station within the island might receive the message, they would be unable to act on it.
Swell. Here goes. Jerry Hall of J12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello.
Hello, Jerry. Go ahead.
Joan and I are just leaving the radio room on top of the island. They're starting to submerge the island. That's all from here.
Good luck, Jerry.
Now
You can hear me, Jerry. Better get off that island quick. The surface is going underwater now.
Did you hear that, Joan? We've only got a minute.
Oh, Jerry, please hurry. You and Joan must get off the island at once. The surface is nearly covered with water now.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. Don't worry. We've got some light preservers. Joan and I will float with them and wait for you to pick us up if we have to. Hold tight and don't worry.
The water is coming slowly up to the door, Jerry. Open the door and let it run in gradually.
I got it. Then it won't knock us over when we open it.
Yes. Now we will take 2 of these life rings and lay them on the floor. So. Hurry and help me, Jerry.
Hey, what are you putting them on the floor for?
Help me with this guard. We will roll him over on his back and lay him on top of these 2 rings. Then we can float him out to the boat with us.
Gee, won't that tickle Captain Bradford, a Euclidean prisoner?
Hurry, Jerry.
Okay. Boy, he's a heavy fellow. I can roll his shoulders over. You get his feet.
Yes.
Now then, there we go.
Ooh, we did not get him on the rings too soon. The water is coming in the door. Take these other 2 rings and throw them in the water for us, Jerry.
Right. There they go.
Now I will take the guard's ray guns. I think Captain Tex will enjoy studying these.
You're a honey, Joan.
Hurry, Jerry. There is no time to call me names.
Okay, what next?
The water is rising rapidly now. Push the guard out the door and stand there holding him steady. I will bring our life rings with me.
Okay, I'll push him out all right, but you'd better hurry and come too. This water's getting pretty deep here.
One moment, Jerry. Calling Captain Bradford. Hello, Captain.
Hello, Joan. Why aren't you kids off there?
We are leaving now. We have lighted life rings. Within 60 seconds, the island will be covered safely for your boat. No danger from Euclideans now. You may start your motors, and after 1 minute, you may cross the island to us.
Right, Joan. Good kid. How far can we see those lights on your life preservers?
You will see them for 200 yards or more. Will you please have a landing stage down for a prisoner?
Yes, but what?
Hurry up, Joe. The water's almost up to my waist now.
Coming, Jerry. The rising water just cut the radio out.
What are we going to do if this guard wakes up again before the boat gets here? Will these ray guns work underwater?
Not well, Jerry, but I have one in my hair. It will be dry on top of my head, and I will use it when the time comes.
Hey, how do you turn lights on in these life preservers? I can't find any.
Feel around the edge. You will find a metal cap screwed on a valve. Take it off quickly. I have mine ready.
Fix mine, too. I'll take care of the boyfriend here.
The island is sinking rapidly now. My feet are not touching.
I can just touch the bottom. Oh, there it goes. Gee, these rings sure hold you up nice. Hey, look at the steam come out of them. Boy, look at it shine. Does that make a lot of light?
I think the guard is stirring, Jerry.
Well, we've got his gun. We can handle him all right. And he'll be easier to get on the boat if he can climb on it.
I will take no chances with him. Now he will not bother us for another 5 minutes.
I'll bet that guy's getting awful tired, waking up and being put back to sleep all the time. What makes that light come out of these life rings, Joan?
The life ring is really 2 concentric rings. The inner ring contains a very light gas. The ring will support 300 pounds, and the outer ring contains a dry fluorescent salt, which gives off the fluorescent gas you see when touched by water.
Boy, that's... Hey, listen.
Yes, the motor's on the boat. The captain is exactly right for time. The island should be 30 feet below us by the time he gets here.
Boy, this is sure going to make a story for the folks back home.
I will be so glad to see your world, Jerry, and to live with my mother in her comfortable and safe home.
Hey, Joan, how about the commander? She helped us out a lot. It's too bad to leave her here with these Euclideans. She wanted to escape with us.
She will not be suspected of having helped us, Jerry, and sometime we may get the chance to aid her.
Yeah, I guess so. That boat's getting closer.
Yes.
Now they've got the searchlight on us.
But they should save all their power for the radio.
Hey, Tex! Ahoy, the bridge there.
Stand by where you are. Look out for the swell. The landing stage is ready.
Ooh.
Hang on tight, Joan. We're going to get rocked around.
Yes. Oh, the motors are being reversed. There is the landing stage, Jerry.
Yeah. I'll shove the guard over to him. You hang on to my life ring for me.
Yes. The captain will want these rings.
Hey, Tex. We're at the stage.
Coming down, kid. Are you both all right?
How are you, Joan, dear? Oh, I am fine, Mother.
Here, Joan, let me give you a hand up. You and Jerry go up on deck. I'll get the skipper to help me with this prisoner.
He is only asleep, Captain. It would be well to have him carefully searched and under heavy guard when he awakes.
Right. Now, come on, up you go. I'll join you kids in the camp.
Okay, Tex. Come on, Joan.
Yes.
Oh, Joan, my dear, I've been so afraid for you.
Oh, but we were in no danger, Mother.
Joan, my dear little daughter.
Oh, everything's all right now, Mrs. Gregory. You and Joan go in the cabin. I'll come in after I send the skipper down to Tex.
Oh, it is good to be back with you, Mother dear.
You'll never know how I suffered while you and Jerry were down inside that terrible island.
But you see, we have returned quite safely.
Yes, dear, but we didn't know that you would. Now, in you go, Joan. We'll get some dry clothes for you.
No, Mother. I am quite warm. Oh, Mother, those dear little homing pigeons. You had brought them into this cabin.
Yes, Joan. We hid them in the radio cabin on the yacht and took them with us when we made the last trip to this boat.
Oh, but they are so clever, these small birds. And it is thanks to them that we are free from the island.
No doubt of it, Joan. If it hadn't been for these homing pigeons, Johnson would never have been able to get the last message to us, or the captain get his real formula instructions to Johnson.
And when we get back to your home in California, will we see more of these pigeons?
Not only will you see lots of them, but I'm going to give you and Jerry each a pair for your very own, so that you may train them to carry messages between our home and Jerry's.
Oh, Mother, that will be nice.
Oh, boy, this is sure swell. Hiya, Mrs. Gregory.
I'm very, very happy, Jerry. It was bad with you and Joan gone.
J12C to J24Y. J12C to J24Y. Can you hear me?
I'll get it, Mrs. Gregory.
All right.
Hello, Johnson. Jerry Hall, back on J24Y. We're in the clear. Island submerged, and we're running away from it. How's that?
Fine, Jerry. Is Bradford there?
He's out on deck. Hang on, and I'll get him. Here's Tex now. It's Johnson, Captain.
Okay, Jerry. Hello, Johnson. We got away right on time. Where are you?
Due north of island. I have arranged fuel supply for you 50 miles north of island. Can you make that?
We'll make it wide open. Good man, Johnson. That all?
That's all. And good luck, everybody.
Oh, Captain, we are really free.
Yes, isn't it wonderful?
Yes, Pat. You've actually found Joan, and we're safely on our way home.
Hey, Joan, how did you get the little homing pigeons in here?
Mother had them brought in, Jerry. Are they not nice?
Boy, those little guys sure saved all of us.
So happy. We're really going home.
Yes, Pat. It's been pretty bad at times, but it'll be a wonderful experience to come back someday and take charge of that island with plenty of help.
Boy, gee, that'd be swell.
Yes, Jerry. But now, let's think of nothing but home. Home.
Yeah. Gee. Home. My dad and Hollywood Boulevard and... Oh, golly whiskers.
Joan, dear, you're so quiet. Aren't you happy, too?
Happy? Oh, Mother, I'm so happy Oh, golly whiskers.
Generally speaking, what a fellow means when he says it was a fair fight. Turns out to be, I won the way I expected to. Avak was in a position that they weren't supposed to win. They were going to have to use an unexpected method. Of course, that would be called unfair, wouldn't it?
Right over here, Captain Bratton. Just take a seat, and I'll be with you in a moment.
Oh, thanks.
Nothing special the Immigration Department wants to see me about, is there? I mean, if it's those little fungoid life forms you're worried about. No, Captain, it's not fungoid life forms. Let's see. Your ship just arrived here at Terra an hour ago. Yes, we docked at LaGuardia Field at 4 p.m. In fact, I haven't even had time. Has your crew left the ship yet? No, sir. After all, I am conscious of the great responsibility we intersystem cargo carriers have regarding the importation of non-terrestrial toxins and microbodies unicellular. Captain, I'm not a bacteriologist. My name's Jesse. I'm a psychologist.
I see, sir.
Just what do you see?
You're making a check to see if I'm space-worthy, not neurotic or cracking up under the stress. And you jot down notes, and just from little slips a man makes because he's tired and needs a rest and a shower and a couple of beers at a high-class bar and maybe a few days of quiet in the country, away from always worrying about a meteor breaking through the hull. Oh, I admit I am somewhat knocked out. Who wouldn't be? I brought this cargo in from Deneb. We've been out there between systems, the long haul, for 13 months. And we got nothing to apologize for. You let me rest up. How about trying that instead of badgering us with psychological questions?
I'm sorry, Captain. Now, let's see. You visited the sixth planet to the Deneb system. Avak or something like that?
Avak.
Did you and your crew enjoy your stay there?
Well, they treated us okay. We were 3 weeks loading. During that time, we mostly just strolled around taking things easy. Wasn't much to see. Mostly just small towns, factories. They make ceramic household goods. That was our cargo, in fact. That's a darn small planet they've got there, sir, and overcrowded. Every half mile there's a factory going like crazy, and the air's so full of smoke from the stacks you can hardly breathe. Sir, they've got almost no raw materials. But out of what they have, plus the synthetics they've developed, they're able to turn out so much pottery that you'll find it everywhere in the galaxy. It's amazing. Every system you visit, you see vases, salt shakers, flower pots. They're all marked, made at Avak. Just think what they could do if they had a sufficient supply of raw materials. Makes you wonder.
Yes, it does make you wonder.
They fought a little war back about 10 years with the other planets of their system. Beat them, too. But it didn't do them any good. The other planets were just as depleted.
Captain, I want you to examine something.
Oh, yes, sir. That's an Avakian space mine. Seeks out the target by beaming in on the target's heat. They used that in a couple of 3 wars.
Awful thing. Look at that boring snout.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told it cuts its way through the hull of a ship to the wall of a building until it actually gets to a living creature. Then...
Yes, sir. It's a vicious weapon. The troops called them leeches. But that was 10 years ago, sir. Now they're a commercial planet. They threw out the military leaders and voted in a business administration. They're all for trade and culture exchange now. They learned their lesson.
Did they? Captain, while you were on Avak, did you buy and bring back here with you any toys for your children?
Just as a fair fight hasn't been well defined, neither is the concept toy. Take a portable typewriter, for instance. Is this a toy for a child? Or is it the working tool of a newspaper reporter? It isn't really what the thing is, but how you think about it, what you intend to do with it. What is a toy? A toy for children.
While you were on Avak, did you buy and bring back here with you any toys for your children?
Well, as a matter of fact...
I'd like to see what toys you bought on Avak. Let's have a look.
Well, they're back on the ship in my cabin.
Captain, I'd like you to glance at this particular toy. It showed up a month or so ago. Possibly you saw something like it in the store in Avak.
It looks like an ordinary set of model soldiers to me. British Grenadiers, I guess. Very authentic, too. Gosh, look at the detail on the uniforms.
Yes, it's amazing. You'd think they were real. Genuine British soldiers of centuries ago, standing 3 inches high. And their cannons. You'd almost expect those cannons to fire, wouldn't you?
Fine workmanship.
Well, Captain, the cannons do fire.
No kidding.
I'll show you. I'm using now what is called a ramrod. Ramming the powder and shot in. Just a second. There. Now it's ready.
They must use watchmaker's tools, microscopic precision.
I'll fire it out the window. Ready?
Ready.
Yes, guards, will you begin clearing the debris? I'm sorry, I meant it to explode entirely outside the building. Must have caught a corner of the window.
This is terrible.
Now, to the soldiers. They're dead, of course. Dead? Well, let's say inert. We destroyed their neural systems with high voltage.
What?
We simply took the cartons of soldiers and put a charge through them. They're fragile.
hard, even for a people uniquely talented in microscopic assembly, to produce a workable robot only 3 inches high.
I see. Of course, robots. Here, look at this. Well, I'd say this is, but it looks like a little toy telephone set. Gosh, we had those when I was a kid. Talk to the kid across the street, transmit for a block or more.
Talk into it. Here, I'll get out the mate and answer you. In fact, I'll go stand over here, away from you with it. Okay, Captain, can you hear me?
I hear you, sir.
Say something foul.
Sir?
You're a spaceman. Think of the foulest oath you can remember. Say it into the phone.
Okay, sir. You know, sir, it's the darndest thing. I guess I must be nervous. I can't.
Try.
I can't, sir. I can't think of anything foul.
All right. That's what I wanted to show you, Captain. The phone acts to inhibit the speech center of persons near it. Sort of damper. Actually, the technique was known to us. We used it during World War III, during brain-cleansing therapy. You know, obliterating hostilities from the minds of enemy prisoners.
Sure.
But to incorporate it into a child's toy. You see, Captain, a child exposed to this mechanism over a long period of time would develop a docility, a passivity, an inability to feel angry or aggressive. In other words...
Brain cleansed.
Now look at this.
What seems to be... Yes, it's one of those question and answer games. You get a buzz if you guess the right answer.
I'll fit a question sheet over the terminal. With this toy, the child develops a rudimentary knowledge of natural facts on a variety of topics. Now, let's see. This top sheet consists of questions on growing plants and flowers.
Yeah, well, let's try something different.
All right. How about great composers?
No, I think I'd like to try this sheet titled The Human Body. I used to know something about that. I took a college correspondence course in biology during a long trip out.
Very well. I'll plug in question 3. The digestive system breaks down protein foods into what simple molecule?
Amino acids. Answer number 9. Plug the answer wire onto the number 9 terminal.
I agree. Amino acids is right.
Oh, what's the matter then? It works normally.
Now try it the way we started. Question 3 with answer 9. You won't get a buzz this time.
Well, but we did get a buzz, and it's right.
Yes, we got a buzz before, but we won't get one now. See, Captain, there's a circuit in this thing that randomizes the buzz. The child, using this so-called educational toy, will get correct answers to start with. Then the randomization sets in, and before he is sure enough of his own knowledge to contradict it, his meager fund of accurate facts will be gradually distorted, not wiped out, but altered more and more, until he is confused.
But why?
So he'll be convinced that there is no such thing as a correct answer. And now I'd like to see the toys you brought back with you. Let's go to your ship and have a look at them. The man who won the last war always wants his methods of fighting a war to be the ultimate weapons, because he wins with those. But what is the real ultimate weapon? A weapon that no other weapon can touch. How about the weapon of changing your enemy into a friend, or changing your enemy so he doesn't even try to defeat you? Wouldn't that be a more powerful weapon than any possible attacking device?
This is my younger kid, Charles. He's 9.
What is it?
Well, can't you tell?
Looks like a costume.
Yeah, I'll spread it out.
What kind of a costume is it? I don't see any identifying features. Looks more like a sack. A gray sack.
I shopped around Avak for days before I ran across this. Yeah, I'll put it on. Yeah, right sleeve. Left.
Ah. Explain it, Captain.
But can't you see?
No, you're simply inside a gray sack. That's all I can see.
I'm a cowboy.
What?
This is a cowboy suit. More than that. Of course, it takes a few minutes.
Good Lord. It's changing color.
So am I. Changing me into a cowboy. Darn it, I said I was a cowboy, and I am. Now, I don't mean I'm just pretending to be a cowboy. I mean as long as I'm wearing this material around me, I actually become a cowboy. Notice I've got chaps on my legs? I put this on a couple of times on the trip back, me and the crew both. Really got a kick out of it. Looky here. I got me a 6-gun.
Where did that gun come from?
Grew out of the suit.
And your head's expanding and turning black.
Nah. That's my 10-gallon black felt hat.
Incredible.
Put 'em up, partner.
Why, your skin looks like leather.
Is that your idea of a humorous remark, partner?
Take it off. Take what off? That material before it's too late. Take it off before you're so far down in that fantasy world you can't get back. Like they intended it. Take it off.
Just when I was beginning to enjoy myself. You know, friend, when I was just a little tyke, I used to pine to be back in the good old days and ride the range. Back when you could smell the sagebrush growing out in the free country where... What was I saying? Why, a cowboy. Why, I always wanted to be a cowboy.
Would it be the same for me, I wonder?
Oh, no,
I put it on?
It's whatever your fantasy is. Now, Charles probably will use it to become a 20th century businessman. Gray flannel suit, Ivy League. He reads all those old adventures about New York before it was destroyed. Those advertising operas.
Give me that material. I'm impounding it.
But why? What's wrong? It just helps a kid act out perfectly normal childhood fantasies. Charles plays advertising exec all day long. With this, he can...
A child couldn't possibly hold out against it. It almost got you, and you're a grown man. Do you want to lose your child? Is that what you want? Do you want to see him disappear down into a fantasy world and never return? Let's see what else you brought back.
Yeah. Only one more toy. Actually, it's a game for my older boy, Pete. He's 12.
Open it up.
Yeah. It's called Enterprise. I figure all the kids in the block can play. It's a lot of fun. A bunch of us played it on the trip back.
Can 2 play?
Mm-hmm. 2 players up to 8.
Very well, let's play.
Each player buys shares with money borrowed from the other players. Now, at any time, a creditor can demand payment either in shares or in money. But as soon as a player ceases to extend credit, he must show what shares he holds. He has to show which groups he's been able to get control of. From then on, he has to bid out in the open, with everyone else knowing what he's got shares in.
I bid 3,000 solar units for 2 shares of Neptune Non-Ferric Ores Incorporated.
Make it 4,000 and the shares are yours.
4,000.
Sold. Okay. Now, you owe me 600,000 solar units, and I owe you 355,000 solar units. I demand payment of the difference.
Let's see. I don't have 245,000 units worth of stock.
Yes, you do. If you turn in your Martian Diamond Mines Limited.
Oh, but that's my best bluff. That corners you from the inner planets.
Put it in or call the game over.
All right, it's in.
Game's over.
But why?
I have enough solar units left to buy all your remaining stock. So in terms of profit and loss, you're wiped out.
Yes, I guess you're right. Very well, you wind up with 3 expensive groups. And I don't have any.
Well, do you see anything harmful in this game? All I can see myself is that it teaches a child the basic facts of economic life, and that's something every child should know.
No, I have to admit I find nothing subversive in this game. In fact, it's nothing but a variant of an old Terran parlor game called Monopoly. Yes, you can retain this toy, Captain. It meets with immigration specifications.
Well, that's a relief.
Sorry to have caused you so much trouble. I'll go and interview your crew and see what children's artifacts they brought back. You can go to your hotel now.
Can you find your way around the ship?
Oh, yes, I'm used to it. I'll see you again, and next time you're down.
All right.
Hope your children enjoy playing Enterprise. Matter of fact, I enjoyed it myself. Might have you bring in a set for me next time.
Sure. Anything to accommodate the immigration department. Well, I better get all the pieces back in the box before they get lost. Heck, in that game, Monopoly, the player who wound up with the most money and property won the game. And in Enterprise, the winner is the one who's wiped out. Hey, I'll bet he didn't realize he beat me. But he didn't have a solar unit or a share of stock left. He won by a clean sweep.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. That's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, and today, as we resume our story, Jimmy Olsen and his little rhymester friend Poco are meeting with some strange experiences in the frozen north. We'll join them in a moment, but right now, here's Dan McCullough.
Most of you probably know that the Curtiss P-40 is one of the most famous series of planes today. But do you know that you can get a really slick model of a P-40F Warhawk without sending in a single penny for it? Not even a box top? Sure. You see, there's a colored cardboard plane model right inside every single package of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And one of the models you can get is the P-40F Warhawk. Now, altogether, there are 14 different models you can get. 4 British, 2 Russian, and 8 American ones. And among them are exciting planes like the C-69 Constellation, the Russian Yak-4, the British Whirlwind Fighter, and the Vought Excalibur Navy Transport. What's more, on the back of each model, you get a lot of important dope about that particular plane, as well as a list of pointers on how to spot it. So, gang, if you haven't yet started your own squadron of Pep model planes, don't waste any more time. Be sure your mother gets you a package of Pep tomorrow. See which plane model you find inside. And remember the name, Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When the plastic space shell carrying Jimmy Olsen and Poco crashed in the snowbank near the North Pole, our friends were rescued by 2 Eskimos, a brother and sister named Utak and Nulia. The Eskimos explained that their barren territory was now controlled by brutal German soldiers who had arrived in planes and whose mission was unknown. Just then, the barking of dogs signaled the approach of several sleds, and Nulia reported that they carried German soldiers. As we continue now in the Eskimos' igloo, the injured Jimmy and Poco have struggled to sitting positions, and Utak and his sister stand by as a German officer and his aide, the latter holding a gun, stride into the snow house. Listen.
Corporal, remain here at the entrance.
Ja, Herr Colonel.
Good day, Fräulein Nulia.
Semuk, Colonel Van Gersen.
And good day to you, Herr Utak. Semuk. We were passing, and I thought perhaps Fräulein Nulia would serve me a cup of tea. Oh, I did not know you had guests. You did not?
Why, you see...
Are you not going to introduce me to your guests?
They are not really our guests.
They are not. But they sit here in your igloo and they drink your tea. How's that?
But...
You have forgotten that I have strictly forbidden visiting?
I mean, Naka. I have not forgotten, but...
I will speak, Nulia. These 2 Kabluna fell from the skies. We gave them shelter.
Fell from the skies? Then perhaps they are angels. Did you hear, Corporal?
Ja, Herr Colonel, that is very humorous.
I don't think it's so humorous. Listen, you... Softly, Jim. Don't anger him.
You are addressing me, young man?
Yeah. I'm not afraid to tell you who we are. I'm Jim Olsen. This is my friend Poco. We're Americans.
Amerikaner, Schweinhund.
Oh, yeah? Schweinhund yourself, you...
And Jim, keep cool. Don't be a fool.
What do you do here, Americans?
We came up for winter sports. What are you doing here?
Oh, friend James.
Yes, insolent, Herr Colonel. Let me deal with him.
Return to your post, Corporal.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
I asked you a question, young man.
And I asked you one.
Please, friend James.
I had hoped we could get along pleasantly. I dislike having to use crude methods.
Oh, yeah? I heard how you treat the poor Eskimos, keeping the old people and the children in jail so the others will do what you want. Then when anyone tries to get away, you hunt them down in your planes and shoot them.
So, Fräulein Nulia and Herr Utak have had much to say.
Naka, we said nothing.
I do not believe you, Fräulein. And I think you have forgotten something else. That your aged father is in our custody.
Do not harm him. Please, we meant no harm.
Do not debase yourself before these evil ones, Nulia. Hey, we did help the Kabluna. They fell from the sky, as I have said, and we gave them shelter. Is there wrong in that?
Why did you hide them?
We did not hide them.
Sure not. They were gonna...
Fortunately, you were seen bringing them to your igloo. You know my orders. If a stranger's observed in this territory, it is to be reported to me at once.
Well, that's what they were going to do, Colonel.
As soon as we could walk, Utak and Nulio were going to take us to your place. That is true. To deliver us to you.
You're bad liars, both of you. You came here secretly in your weird rocket ship planning to conspire with Utak and his sister.
Naka, Colonel Von Gersten.
We did not. We never heard of Utak and Nulio before. We just happened to crash here because we ran out of gas. That, too, is true.
You lie. You are American intelligence men.
Oh, you're crazy. I'm a newspaper reporter. I work for the Daily Planet in Metropolis, and Poco is Mr. White's cook.
Let me see your papers of identification.
Sure. Here's my wallet.
Give it to me.
Oh, nice, polite guy. Grabbing it out of my hands. Would be better, friend Jim, to speak softer to him. Nuts. I'd tell that strutting Nazi something if I wasn't afraid of getting Utak and Nulia in trouble.
You do appear to be a newspaper reporter. James Olson. Unless these papers are false.
Well, they aren't.
I think I believe you. You are neither old enough nor clever enough to be an intelligence officer.
Oh, thanks.
Now, your papers, fat one.
I have no papers.
What?
Except these, my request for United States citizenship.
Cook and houseboy for editor Perry White, Daily Planet. This relieves me very much. It worried me that the Americans could know of our presence here, even though I did not see how that could be possible.
Our army will find out, and when they
I
do...
think they will not find out. At least not until it is too late.
What do you mean?
It's not your affair. Come now, we go.
Huh? Go where?
That much you will find out. Hurry, up on your feet. You Utak and you Nulia will accompany us.
We too?
Yeah. Where do you take us? To your father in prison, so that he may say goodbye to you.
Goodbye?
Sugmat? Speak not your barbaric Eskimo tongue to me.
I know not. What is it you mean?
I mean that tomorrow, when all the other Eskimos have been summoned to witness what happens to those who disobey us, you and your sister and these two Americans will die.
What? Oh, sorrow. Oh.
Naka, we did nothing.
You hit the Americans and conspired with them to escape.
They did not. And listen, you can't do anything to us.
Take them to the sleds, Corporal.
Jawohl, Herr Colonel.
Come. Hey, now, wait a minute.
I said come.
It is no fun to argue with a gun. No, Okay. Take that pistol out of my ribs. I've got to get out of this sleeping bag, don't I?
Mach schnell. You too, fat one.
Oh, hurry.
Call through the entrance.
Gee, Utaka, I'm sorry we got you into this mess.
Sooner or later it would have come, Kabluna. I could no longer tolerate living as a slave.
Take them to the sleds, Corporal. I will be out as soon as I've had some tea.
Ja, Herr Colonel. Call through the entrance, I said.
Okay. Come on, Poco. This is truly sad, my friend. To come so far to such an end.
Crawling out of the igloo, Jimmy, Poco, and the two Eskimos are placed on the dog sleds and driven away. Meanwhile, having searched all night for the space shell over dark wastes of land and ocean, Superman has returned to the Daily Planet, where once more in the garb and guise of Clark Kent, he has just entered Editor Perry White's office, where he finds Miss Backrack, White's secretary.
Mr. Kent, we've been looking all over for you.
Oh, I've been busy. Any word from Jim Olson and Poco?
Well, no.
Oh, where's Mr. White and Miss Lane?
They went over to Coast Guard headquarters. There was a report of the space shell.
There was? Who saw it and where? When?
The Coast Guard cut a Cartwright saw it yesterday.
Where?
Up north somewhere over the ocean.
Where up north? I just come from there.
What?
Never mind. Think, Miss Backrack. Where did the Cartwright see that space shell? Or don't you know?
Of course I know. I took the message from the Coast Guard myself.
Well?
It was in the North Atlantic, about 400 miles above Iceland.
Iceland?
Oh, Mr. Kent, when I think of poor Jimmy and Poco and that space shell...
Oh, we're not sure they're in it.
Yes, we are. The captain of the cutter saw them.
What? Are you sure?
Yes. He said there were two people. One of them a short, fat man in the shell.
That's Poco. Oh, gee, and I kept hoping he and Jim went in that shell if they'd turn up here safe. Look, Miss Backrack, which way did the Coast Guard captain say the space shell was headed?
He didn't say.
He didn't? Well, I'll find out.
Oh, you can't. All the Coast Guard stations have been trying for hours to contact the Cartwright.
Yes?
But they can't contact her. They're afraid something's happened to her.
What? Great Scott.
Startled, Clark Kent stares at Miss Backrack. We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, let's hear from our good friend.
Say, gang, do you know how many British planes have Rolls-Royce engines? Well, I'm not too sure myself, but I do know that two of them are the Whirlwind Fighter and the Lancaster Heavy Bomber. And these two planes are part of the series of models that come inside all the Kellogg's Pep packages. That's right. There's a nifty colored cardboard plane model right inside every single package of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And two of the models you can get are the British Whirlwind Fighter and the Lancaster Heavy Bomber. Then there are other exciting planes like the Russian 118 Fighter, the American B-24 Liberator Bomber, the Curtiss Helldiver, the British Sunderland Flying Boat, and the Russian Yak-4. And, gang, they're all mighty easy to put together. You just press out the parts with your thumbs and assemble them. And best of all, you don't have to send in a single penny for any of these grand planes, not even a box stop. There's a model inside every Pep package. So, gang, be sure your mother gets you a package of those golden, delicious whole wheat flakes tomorrow. See which plane model you find inside. And remember the name, Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
Now, back to the adventures of Superman. Miss Backrack, Perry White's secretary, has just told Clark Kent that a Coast Guard cutter sighted Poco's space shell 400 miles north of Iceland. But the shell's direction wasn't given. Miss Backrack also said,
All the Coast Guard stations have been trying for hours to contact the Cartwright, but they can't. They're afraid that something's happened to us.
But that can't be, Miss Backrack. Only the captain of the Cartwright can tell me which way that space shell was going. I've got to find him.
You? How can you find him, Mr. Kent?
I've got an idea. I'll see you later, Miss Backrack. So long.
Hurrying into his own office, Kent swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman, then leaps high from his window and streaks into the north. Farther he ranges and farther, flashing across Newfoundland, across the tip of Greenland, and then across Iceland. Now he is over mountainous storm-lashed waves, heading still north into rumbling, lightning-torn skies. Well, it's still no sign of the Cartwright. Wait a minute. The storm is blowing from the east. It means if anything happened to the cutter, it would be swept west. Away to the west, then.
No, don't see it yet. What do I do now? I guess I'll have... Wait a minute. What's that down there? Down. Wait, Scott, it's a ship. A Coast Guard cutter. And, yes, it says Cartwright on its bow.
Poised above the gigantic waves, Superman sees a Coast Guard cutter Cartwright plunge beneath the icy waters, apparently beyond help even from the Man of Steel. Can Superman possibly do anything to save the seemingly doomed men and the vessel's captain, who possesses the only clue to the location of the space shell? What will happen now to Jimmy Olsen and Poco, and their Eskimo friends Utak and Nulia, sentenced to die by the secret German garrison near the North Pole? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode in the story of the space shell. Tune in, same time, same station for The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. This is Mutual.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, who is today somewhere over the vast stretches of ocean, hoping against hope to find some trace of Jimmy Olsen and Poco. We'll join him in a moment. But first, Dan McCullough wants to have a word with us. Go ahead, Dan.
Say, gang, haven't you often wondered what some of the famous Allied planes really look like? Well, right now is your chance to start finding out. That is, if you've been making super delicious Kellogg's Pep your regular breakfast cereal. You see, there's a swell-colored cardboard plane model right inside every single Pep package. And among the models you can get are 4 British and 2 Russian planes. Now, there are 14 different models you can get altogether. Exciting planes like the British Lancaster Heavy Bomber, the Russian 118 Fighter, the American B-34 Ventura Bomber, the British Whirlwind Fighter, and the American Dauntless Dive Bomber. Best of all, you don't have to send in a single penny for these models, not even a box top. There's a plane in every Pep package. So, gang, if you've been missing out on these grand prices, get busy right away. Ask your mother to get a package of those golden, delicious whole wheat flakes tomorrow. See which plane model you find inside. And remember that name, Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now the adventures of Superman. When the space shell bearing Jimmy Olsen and Poco crashed near the North Pole, our friends were rescued by 2 Eskimos, a brother and sister named Utak and Nulia. But German soldiers who had secretly garrisoned the barren territory discovered the presence of Jimmy and Poco and condemned them and Utak and Nulia to death. Meanwhile, learning that a Coast Guard cutter had sighted the space shell the day before near Iceland, Superman streaked far north over the Atlantic Ocean, where, in a raging storm, he spotted the cutter sinking beneath mountainous waves. Plunging deep into the wild sea to rescue the crew of the doomed vessel, he finds it deserted. And as we join him now, we're searching the storm-tossed waters for the shipwrecked Coast Guardsmen.
Crew must have put off in lifeboats, but they can't be far away. They're still alive. That ship only sank a little while ago. I'd better spot them soon, or this storm will finish them. Trying to find a lifeboat in this sea is like looking for a needle in a... Wait a minute. What's that? There's the boat down there, full of men. Uh-oh, it's capsizing. Down to it. Down!
Reaching down into the icy waters, Superman picks up the nearly capsized lifeboat and carries it and its half-drowned occupants to the American base on Iceland. 2 hours later, once more in the guise and garb of Clark Kent, ace reporter, he enters the Naval Infirmary with Vice Admiral Edward Martin.
This way, Kent. The medical officer said we can see Captain Sawyer now.
Well, that's fine, Admiral Martin. I'm counting on him to put me on the trail of the space shell.
Well, I'm sure he'll tell you whatever he knows. Sure. Incidentally, I've been trying to recall the last time you and I met. It was last spring at the Northwest Peninsula, wasn't it?
That's right.
Superman brought you up there just as he brought you up here today. You and he must be pretty close.
I'm surprised, Admiral.
What's that?
Huh? Oh, nothing.
Too bad Superman couldn't stay. I know Captain Sawyer would want to thank him for saving his life and the lives of his crew. Here we are. After you, Ken.
Oh, thanks.
Captain, how are you feeling?
I'm all right, sir. Just a bit weak.
Well, now, don't try to sit up. You've had a bad time of it. This is Clark Kent, Captain Sawyer. You can speak freely before him.
Yes, sir. Glad to know you, Mr. Kent. I'm glad to know you, Captain. Now, about the space shell you saw yesterday...
Just a moment, Kent. Captain, I presume a German submarine sank your ship?
No, sir. It wasn't a sub.
It wasn't? So what was it?
Well, sir, I know it sounds strange, but I don't know what sank my ship.
Pardon me for interrupting, but I may be too late now to do anything about that space shell. Every second counts, so if you don't...
This matter is much more important than your space shell.
But, Admiral,
We'll get to the space shell in a moment. Now, Captain, you were saying?
Yes, sir. I don't know what sank my ship. I know what a torpedo's like. I've had 3 ships torpedoed under me, but this wasn't a torpedo. And we were having a bad time in the storm, going slow, so even if our equipment missed detecting anything, we'd have seen a mine, same as we did the iceberg.
The iceberg?
That's right.
Now, wait a minute, Captain. There are no icebergs in these waters at this season of the year.
That's what I told myself when I saw it, sir, but there it was, sticking out of the water just a few feet. We came around to blow it up before it drifted down into the convoy lanes, but before we could come around, bingo, something exploded under us and practically blew us out of the water.
Tremendous charge, whatever it was. The entire hull of the ship was blown out.
Huh? How do you know, Kent?
Superman went down to look at the ship before he picked up the lifeboat. He told me.
Yes, sir, that's another reason I knew it wasn't a torpedo. There was only a single explosion, but the ship cracked apart like an eggshell.
Well, Captain, did you see the iceberg again?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
No, sir, I didn't. And I can't figure how I came to see it in the first place. Those icebergs come down later in the year when the thaws start up north and the frozen sea begins to break up.
Did you hit the iceberg, Captain?
No, sir. We started to come around to blow it up when something hit us.
That's very strange. Kent, this isn't for publication.
Well, no, I understand, Admiral.
There have been 3 other unexplainable sinkings in these waters lately. We put on a big hunt for German subs, but didn't spot one.
They're prowling farther south around the convoy.
Yes, but this is a strange thing. We picked up some survivors from the last two sinkings I just mentioned. And they said they'd seen icebergs before their ships blew up, too.
They did?
Yes. And I'm wondering if the icebergs had anything to do with the sinkings.
Could they, sir? A big iceberg might ram and tear a hole in the ship, but it couldn't explode it.
I know.
Well, suppose the iceberg carried an explosive charge concealed in it and a mechanism to attract it to a ship when it drifted near.
By George, Kent, I wonder if...
Explosives of an iceberg? Sounds crazy.
Well, some of the other secret weapons in this war sounded crazy, too, at first.
But how could explosives get in an iceberg?
That's what I'd like to know. No, I'm afraid that theory's out, Kent.
Okay. But look, Admiral, Captain Sawyer has told you all he knows. Can I ask him about the space shell now?
Sure, yes. Go ahead.
Well, what space shell, Mr. Kent?
Well, you radioed that you'd seen what looked like a large glass ball.
Oh, that. Hey, that was another strange thing. I saw through my glass a big glass ball falling out of the sky.
Where was this?
About 400 miles north of here.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was going to fall into the ocean, but suddenly it stopped falling and shot up so fast I couldn't follow it.
You saw two people in it?
Yes. One of them was a short, fat man.
Poco.
Who?
Oh, never mind. Which way did it fly?
North by east. Yeah, I forgot all about it after we were blown up. It was the weirdest thing I ever...
Yes, well, thanks very much, Captain. So long now. Goodbye, Admiral.
Where are you going, Kent?
After that space shell. Jim Olsen and Poco are in it, and I'm afraid... Well, I hope I'm not too late.
What are you talking about? How are you going to chase a space shell?
You see, I'm expecting Superman to do that. I'll see you again, Admiral.
Wait, Kent. I'll come with you.
But I'm in a hurry, sir.
Hold it just a minute. Look, Kent, is Superman coming back here?
Oh, I think so.
Then see here. Superman can do a greater service than hunting for that space shell.
Well, not right now, Admiral. Jim Olsen and Poco are in that shell. They're friends of mine.
I understand, and I'd certainly like to do all I can for them.
Well...
But, Kent, they're only 10 men. Only 2 men, rather. What I have in mind involves the lives of thousands of our soldiers.
What do you mean?
Look, Kent, I think you just might be right about the iceberg.
The iceberg? Oh, you
mean... They
mean...
might have been loaded with explosives and floated into these waters somehow by our enemies.
I think it's very possible, Admiral, and I mean, Superman... Well, I'll tell him about it, and I'm sure he'll do all he can as soon as he finds the space shell.
But that might be too late. 4 ships have already been sunk.
But...
Kent, I'm going to trust you. One of the largest troop convoys of the whole war will pass through these waters tonight on its way to Europe. And if the enemy has devised some fiendish way of sending icebergs down here, loaded with explosives... Exactly. We may suffer tremendous losses. Now, we're equipped to handle the Nazi U-boat. But these icebergs, if that's their new secret weapon, well, we're momentarily baffled by them. As you know, it takes time to devise countermeasures for new enemy weapons.
Well, can't the convoy escort be on the alert for them?
Yes, of course. But our equipment can't detect the explosives in the icebergs, or the icebergs themselves in time. And there's still a terrific storm raging. Our planes can't take off to hunt for these new death traps.
I see. So you want Superman to do that?
Unless the storm lets up, which isn't likely. Yes, I would like him to. Only he can do the job in time. Locate the icebergs and see if they're what we think they are. Then, find out where they're coming from.
Yes, only Superman can do that job in time. That means giving up the hunt for Jim and Poco. Perhaps losing them forever.
I think Superman would make that choice, Kent. Difficult as it is. Where is Superman? I think I can convince him.
He's closer than you think, Admiral. And you have convinced him.
What do you mean? Where is he? I don't see him.
I mean, you've convinced me, and knowing Superman, well, I'm certain that when I've explained it to him, he'll decide that Jim and Poco are important, but not as important as that convoy of troops.
I'm sure he will, too, Kent. Your country and his will be grateful for whatever he can do. How soon do you expect to see him?
Why, any minute now, I guess.
I see. Do you want to wait for him in my office?
No, thanks. I think I'll wait here.
Very well. I'll see you later.
Right.
His face bleak. Clark can't wait for Admiral Martin to fade from sight, knowing that he must abandon Jimmy Olsen and Poco to their unknown fate while he fights this new and mysterious menace to our country's safety.
We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, here's a tip on a real treat.
I know that I don't have to remind you fellows and girls what fun it is to get a really super treat at breakfast time. Because, well, I'm sure that you like good food just as much as I do. But say, when you can get this treat, plus an exciting prize besides, well, that's really something to shout about. And, gang, that's just exactly what happens when you make super delicious Kellogg's Pep your regular breakfast cereal. Now, first of all, you get one of the best-tasting treats you ever took a spoon to. Crisp, golden whole wheat flakes that taste so doggone good you just naturally come right back for seconds. But that's not all. No, sir, there's a swell prize in every single Pep package. It's a colored cardboard plane model that's just as easy as pie to put together. Now, there are 14 different models you can get altogether. 4 British, 2 Russian, and 8 American ones. And best of all, you don't have to send in a single penny for them, not even a box top. There's a plain model inside every single Pep package. So, gang, start right now collecting your squadrons of Pep model planes. Be sure your mother gets you a package of super delicious Pep tomorrow. And remember the name, Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. While Superman made his painful decision to postpone his search for Jimmy Olsen and Poco and combat the new menace to our troop convoys, Jimmy and Poco, together with Utak, their Eskimo friend, faced a sad fate. In a snow house in the secret German garrison near the North Pole, Poco sleeps restlessly, while Jimmy and Utak converse in low tones.
I'm glad Poco was asleep when that German corporal was here, Utak.
Hey, it was bad news he brought.
You're not kidding. What made them change their minds?
Nauna.
Huh?
I do not know. First they said we would be shot tomorrow early. Now they say today when the sun is low.
Yeah. Gosh, that'll be pretty soon.
Very soon.
Golly, Listen, are those Nazis still outside?
Hey, they watch from their igloo pack. The white man's house with their guns.
It looks like we're done for, all right. There's that noise again, like an explosion.
Hey, the Germans dynamite the frozen sea.
What are they doing that for?
Nauna, I know not. Some devil's work it must be. If they do nothing but devil's work here.
Or any other place. There it is again. I wonder what they're up to and why they're here in the first place.
Again, I say it must be devil's work.
Yeah, but I wish I knew what... Hey, look. Someone's coming.
Hey.
That's Randy Corporal who brought us here.
Hey, it is he. I think he comes for us now.
Oh, gosh, what do we do?
He is alone. But he's got his gun. It matters not. We must die anyway.
What do you mean?
Wait for that one, Poco. When this German devil enters into the igloo, and we will greet him by throwing ourselves upon him.
But... Okay, Utak. If we've got to die, we might as well die fighting. I'll wake Poco.
It is too late. He's here. You and I must do it alone.
Crouched beside the low entrance of the igloo, Jimmy and Utak wait tensely for the German corporal to enter. What will happen? Can our friends escape under the very nose of the German garrison? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode. Tune in, same time, same station for The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Gang, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station. By the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. This is Mutual.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett. Hey, Cadet.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0!
As roaring rockets blast off the distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett. Space Cadet. Aboard a giant passenger spaceship rocketing toward the planet Venus, Space Cadets Tom Corbett and Roger Manning have solved the murder of Barton Reed, a representative from the ruling council of Venus. Now, with Nestor Deegan, a former suspect, they make their way down the companionways of the ship to the jet boat deck. where the assassin is being held prisoner in one of the airlocks.
I still can't get over it. Who would have thought a beautiful space doll like Alexandra Stone knocked off Barton Reed?
She's a very clever and unscrupulous woman, Cadet Manning.
Yeah, she almost had us believing you were guilty, Mr. Deacon. Go on, not me, Tom. I had her pegged from the minute I saw her.
But, Cadet Manning, you just said...
Don't pay any attention to him, Mr. Deacon. Roger always knows everything after it's happened. Oh, I do, huh? Well, listen here, you little space nut. Have your tubes, Roger. This is the jet boat deck. Now, let's collect our prisoner. Which airlock was she caught in, Mr. Deacon?
Number 3, port side. When I warned the captain about her, he sealed the outer portal.
Neat little trap. Sure glad it worked. She's got plenty of explaining to do.
Oh, there's Baxter, the flight engineer. He's been waiting for you, I guess.
Uh-huh. Right in front of airlock 3.
Congratulations, Cadet. You did a very neat job with that time bomb. Skipper asked me to tell you he was notifying Commander Arkwright of your good work.
Well, thank you, sir. I hope it makes up for the way we used his orders.
What then?
Nothing, sir. How about the prisoner? Can we talk to her?
Talk to her?
Yeah, she's going to tell us why she murdered Barton Reed.
This is very important, Mr. Baxter. There's a dangerous plot against the Council of Venus, and she's the only one who can tell us who's behind it.
You've got to let us talk to her.
I would, Cadet Corbett, only...
Only what?
Well, I thought you knew. She tried to escape. Climbed out of the jet boat to open the outer airlock portal by manual control.
She what?
She forgot the airlock pressure was high. When she opened the portal, she was pulled out into space. Alexandra Stone is dead.
Find anything yet, Roger? No, not a blasted thing. Except that doll sure wore some classy clothes. No, forget the clothes. We need something important. Okay.
Corbett, if we don't find anything here in Alexandra Stone's compartment, if we don't get a clue to the identity of her masters, the ruling council of Venus is doomed.
Look, Mr. Deacon, what's this all about anyway? And how do you fit in? Who are you anyway?
I think you deserve to know, Corbett, especially after what you and Manning have done. I am a special operative for the Council of Venus. I was assigned to guard Barton Reed on his flight to Earth.
Oh?
Yes, I know what you're thinking. I didn't do a very good job of it. But then I didn't know of his plans to switch uniforms with Manning when he first arrived.
I see. But why did Barton Reed come to Earth in the first place?
To get help from the Solar Guard in stopping a revolution that threatens Venus.
A revolution?
Yes. We don't know who the leaders are, and we don't know when it will begin. But undoubtedly it will be soon. If we could only find out who these men are and where they will strike, we can be ready for them.
But how can a revolution succeed? The Solar Guard will throw everything into the fight.
These men are looking for a quick victory before the Solar Guard can even organize a defense.
Hey, Tom, Mr. Deacon, I got something, I think.
What is it?
Well, let's see, Roger.
This scrap of paper.
It was folded in a locket the doll had. Found it by accident in a jewelry case. Oh, funny. All it says is Atmosphere Station 5. Yeah. Now, why should she keep something like this in a locket? Mean anything to you, Mr. Deacon?
No, except an atmosphere station is a vital part of life on Venus. Without them, we could never survive.
Hey, you think those jokers behind the revolution intend to knock off the station?
No, impossible.
I don't see why, Mr. Deacon. The maintenance crews certainly wouldn't expect an attack. They'd be helpless.
Well, perhaps you're right.
Tom, as soon as we land, we'd better see what gives at that station. For once, you're right.
No, you cadets have done enough. You must return to Earth now.
Oh, no, we didn't come this far to quit now.
But it may be very dangerous.
It hasn't been exactly clear sailing up to now. No, Mr. Deacon. We're following through all the way.
Very well, just as you wish, Cadet Corbett. But remember one thing. In dealing with these revolutionists, failure means death.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Spaceman, today you're going to hear a very important message from Commander Arkwright. Now, Commander Arkwright put this message on the telerecorder system with special instructions that you hear him at this time. Commander Arkwright.
As the Commandant of Space Academy, it is my responsibility to see that only the best young men are permitted to become space cadets. Each year, I have personally checked the records to make sure every cadet is in his best possible physical condition. In questioning these young men, I have noticed one outstanding fact. In every case, the men who appeared to be the best choices were young men who were careful to eat good, nourishing foods. Now, one of these good foods is Kellogg's Pep. Pep is a 100% whole wheat cereal. And in addition to getting all the advantages of wheat in Kellogg's Pep, you also get a full day's supply of needed vitamin D in every serving. Besides vitamin D, Pep also gives you vitamin B1.
So take my advice. To help get yourself in the kind of condition to meet the standards of Space Academy, eat Kellogg's Pep. You'll find it's a fine tasting cereal as well as a nourishing one. End transmission.
Well, there you are, spacemen, right from Commander Arkwright. For built-up food values and a delicious malty-rich flavor, ask your mom to get Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Scattered over the surface of Venus at intervals of 2,000 miles are immense towering structures of gleaming metal and permaglass. These are the atmosphere stations, the lungs of the misty planet, supplying its inhabitants with breathable air. Now, Tom and Roger have arrived at Station 5 and tour the installation with the commanding officer, Captain Bridges.
We're standing on the control platform now, cadets. It's the nerve center of the atmosphere station. We're 100 feet above the floor. From this panel, we can regulate every phase of operations. The men you see working below are the maintenance crew.
Wow, it's a long way down, Captain Bridges.
Yes, and it's an even longer way up, if you'll notice. Above us is the output tower. The manufactured air is pumped out into the space surrounding Venus at the rate of 8 million cubic feet per minute.
Well, how do you manufacture the air?
From the original atmosphere. It's taken apart to make free oxygen and free nitrogen, leaving hydrogen, which escapes into space. We hold the oxygen by freezing it, and we move it through these pipes over here into large combine chambers where normal Earth atmosphere is created.
A little sabotage around here, and the people of Venus would be in a mess of trouble.
Yes, indeed, Cadet Manning. And from what you've told me, we'll have to be prepared. I've already doubled the guard, and I'm making a thorough check on every man in the crew.
Isn't there anything that can be done at these stations or sabotaged?
Yes. We're preparing the old cities.
The old cities?
That's right, Corbett. The first colonists on Venus built cities under huge glass domes. They still exist. Several of them are being secretly restored, just in case of emergency.
Great jumping Jupiter, what happened?
One of the oxygen pipes is broken.
Well, that one over there, look, the stuff is pouring out. Let's get out of here.
Close your eyes, both of you, or they'll be frozen.
But how can we see? Keep your hands on the guardrail. Follow us to the emergency stairs.
No, before it's too late. Here's the inspection report on that accident this morning, Corbett. Care to see it?
Yes, please, Captain Bridges. Uh-huh. I'm not surprised. How about letting me in on it, Tom? Well, listen, this is the last paragraph, Roger. In conclusion, close examination of the oxygen feed pipe clearly reveals the break could not have occurred through structural failure.
You don't have to read any more, pal. The answer is sabotage.
Exactly.
But not a very effective form of sabotage, boys.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, if somebody wanted to really knock out the station, he wouldn't have done it that way. All we had to do was shut off the oxygen supply.
But what about the way the stuff poured out?
It still wouldn't cause too much damage. Unless there was an open fire around, wouldn't even harm personnel. Not where the break occurred, anyway.
It almost got us, didn't it?
Exactly.
Hey, now I know what you're driving at, sir. Somebody was laying for us.
Right.
Oh, brother, here we go again.
Sir, do you have any idea who might have done it?
We suspect a man named Ford. He's only been working here at the station for 2 months, and he disappeared right after the accident.
Well, that's something of a lead. Suppose we try to find this joker.
Suits me fine. Let's see if he can take it as well as he dishes it out.
Right. We'll check with you later, Captain.
All right, Corbett. But watch yourselves, both of you. It looks like you're a couple of important targets.
Hello? Hello, this is Ford reporting.
It's about time. Where have you been?
Hiding out. They're looking for me.
Of course they are. You're a bungler, Ford. An incredible bungler. Not only did you fail to remove the cadets, but you disappeared from your job at the atmosphere station and called attention to yourself.
But I knew there would be an investigation.
Exactly why you should have stayed. Now you've alerted the guards of future sabotage, and you'll make our whole scheme more difficult.
But there was nothing else I could do.
You could have used your head. No matter. The important thing is those cadets. They've got to be put out of the way. They've done nothing but snoop around since they arrived, probing into everything. They're dangerous. Ford?
Yes?
I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself.
What do you want me to do?
I've no doubt that Corbett and Manning are looking for you. You make it easy for them to catch
touch me, but they'll...
They won't do anything to you. They're interested in bigger fish. By showing just the right degree of reluctance and resistance, you can leave them here. After that, I'll take care of them. In my own manner.
Well, we're doing real great, Tom. 2 days since we started looking for Ford, and not a sign of him.
Feather your jets, Roger. We'll find him. As a matter of fact, he'll come to us.
What makes you so sure?
Hourly transmissions are being made by teleceiver, asking all Solar Guard stations on Venus to be on the lookout for Ford. The revolutionary group he's tied up with is sure to intercept those transmissions.
So what?
So this. They'll send Ford to us.
You're space happy.
Not at all. They'll want to find out exactly how much we know before they get rid of us. They'll want to find out if the Solar Guard is preparing any kind of defense. And we'll be just the ones to tell them.
Go on. I still think you're space happy.
I am, eh? Well, I'll bet you a new uniform. That's Ford now.
It's a bet.
Okay. Open the door.
Furthermore, if it's Ford, I'll polish your boots for a year.
I'm looking for Cadet Corbett or Cadet Manning.
I'm Manning.
My name is Ford. I understand you've been looking for
Great jolly.
Come in, Mr. Ford. I've been expecting you. Start reaching for that boot polish, Roger.
Okay.
You're Cadet Corbett?
That's right.
I came here to see if I could make a deal with you two.
What sort of a deal?
I've been mixed up in something pretty dangerous here on Venus. I'm not my own master. Because of my past, I'm forced to work for men who would stop at nothing.
Including getting rid of us.
Yes. You see, they want to take over this planet and establish a government of their own. I didn't bargain for that.
So you want out. Is that it?
I want my record cleared and all charges against me dropped. If you can arrange that, I'll identify all the leaders of this revolutionary movement.
Well, that isn't up to us.
But you'll put in a good word for me, won't you? You'll tell the Solar Guard I helped you?
Sure, if you do.
Fair enough. Now, we'll have to move fast. They plan to strike tonight against the atmosphere station.
How much time have we got?
Less than 2 hours.
Okay. I'll call headquarters and warn them right away.
No, not yet, Corbett.
Why not?
I don't know which station they're going to hit. And it would be foolish to concentrate a defense around one and have the enemy attack another.
That adds up, Tom. There aren't enough men to guard them all.
But still,
As soon as we find out which one is the target, you can contact headquarters by space radio. There'll still be time.
We're wasting what little time we've got. Come on, Tom. On the ball.
Say, listen, Ford. How much farther do we have to go in this jet boat?
Be there in another minute, Corbett.
Hey, Tom. He's taking us pretty far away from Venusport, and we've only got 45 minutes left.
Yeah, I know, Roger.
Think he's on a level?
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to play along.
Where's he taking us, anyway?
The headquarters of the whole revolutionary movement.
Oh, yeah? What are we going to do there? Take on the whole bunch of them, the two of us?
No, we're just going in to see who the leaders are and find out where they're going to attack first. Then we contact headquarters.
We're going in, huh? Just like that, I suppose. Maybe they'll invite us to have tea.
Now, wait a minute, will you? We'll be wearing spacesuits. Everyone will look alike.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so?
Corbett, Manning, better put your suits on now. You're going to land.
Right. Hurry up, Roger.
Yeah, all the time, hurry. One of these days, we're going to hurry ourselves right into the grave. Some installation here. All those characters outside are armed to the teeth.
Yes, with heat rays. Once those men are turned loose against the atmosphere stations...
You don't have to say it, Tom. The crews won't have a chance unless we warn them in time.
Down this tunnel now, Corbett.
We're right behind you, Ford.
When are we going to catch up to the leaders of this mob?
The inner chamber where the final plans for attack are being made is down at the end of this tunnel. I'll take you into the chamber next to it, and you'll be able to hear everything there.
Good.
As soon as we get the information we need, we'll beat it back to the jet boat and alert headquarters.
Yes, that is the best plan, Corbett.
Hey, Tom, I was just thinking, wouldn't it be something if we brought in the leaders ourselves?
Now, don't get any big ideas, pal. One thing at a time.
Okay, it was just an idea.
Hey, get a load of these pipes along the tunnel. They look familiar to you?
Oh, yeah, just like the pipes at the atmosphere stations, the ones that carried liquid oxygen.
This installation is a small-scale atmosphere station. The leaders planned well. When they knock out the ones on the surface, they'll be protected down here.
Oh, brother, what an operation.
Quietly now. That portal at the end of the tunnel opens into the main chamber where the meeting is taking place. You two go in here. Wait, I'll open the portal.
Hey, pretty dark in there.
I'll switch on the light as soon as we're inside. Go on now.
Come on, Tom. Let's get this over with. Which way,
Just stand where you are, Corbett.
Hey, who's that?
There. You recognize me in the light, Manning?
Deegan. What in the universe are you doing here?
This is where I belong, Manning. And I must say, you don't look very surprised, Corbett.
Frankly, Deegan, I'm not. Hey, will somebody please tell me what gives around here?
That's pretty simple, Roger. Our friend Nestor Deegan is the real leader of the revolution.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Say, spaceman, do you want a cereal that helps you to build strong bones and muscles? You want a cereal that gives you food energy for a quick morning blast-off? Well, then, you want Kellogg's Pep. Yes, sir. That's the super space cereal that's a breakfast-time favorite from here to Neptune. And, mister, the first time you sit down to a bowl full of Kellogg's Pep, you'll know why. What a flavor. Why you won't settle for less than second helpings. And just remember, at the same time you're enjoying the taste of Pep, you'll be taking on Sunshine Vitamin D and Vitamin B1. You'll be taking on top-notch food energy, too. Food energy to help you blast off for a busy day. All the cadets here at Space Academy eat plenty of Kellogg's Pep every morning. So, if you want to start your day the way Tom, Astro, Roger, and all the fellas do, you eat Pep, too. Ask your mom to start serving Kellogg's Pep tomorrow morning. Rustle lots of Pep into your cereal bowl. Pour on the milk. Sprinkle some sugar and dig in. When you taste Pep, you want to start every day the spaceman's way with Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Led into the secret headquarters of the revolutionary movement on Venus, Tom and Roger find Nestor Deegan waiting for them triumphantly. But Tom shows little surprise, and as he holds them at the point of a heat ray gun, Deegan questions the cadets.
So you knew I was the leader of the revolution, eh, Corbett?
I didn't know that, but I was sure you were tied up in it somehow.
You're very well informed. Who talked?
You did, Deegan.
Me?
Yes, back in Alexandra Stone's compartment on the passenger ship. When you told us you were guarding Barton Reed.
Well?
You said you didn't know of his plans to switch uniforms with Roger, which meant that you really did know, because nobody ever mentioned that to you or anybody else. You just kept toying with us, helping us search Alexandra Stone's compartment to find out if she left any clues behind.
Hey, that's right. You were the only one who knew we were going to Atmosphere Station 5, and that's where Ford tried to get us.
Well, very clever of you boys.
But if they knew all this, why did they come here with me?
To nail everything down, get proof.
And what are you going to do with it?
I don't have to do anything. Captain Bridges and a detachment of the Solar Guard will be here in 10 minutes to clean out this nest of rats.
What? Oh, did anyone follow you?
No, I swear.
You're wrong, pal. You were followed by tracer beam. Here. You see this belt communicator? It's wide open, sending out a steady signal. You hear? Captain Bridges has been following this signal with his tracer. He knows exactly where we are.
Ford, get that. Destroy it.
Yes, sir. There.
Thanks, Ford. You just gave the final signal.
What do you mean?
The minute the signal stopped, Captain Bridges knew that we were at your headquarters. So now he'll close in.
Why, you...
Sir, we've got to get out of here.
All right. Stand over there against that wall, both of you.
What are you going to do?
You'll find out. Now stay there.
Sure, Deegan. We've got all the time in the world.
Oh, no, you haven't, Corbett. Ford.
Yes, sir?
I want you to get every man out of here. Tell the unit commander to begin the attack.
But it's not time.
Tom, we gotta do something fast. Deacon's sure to burn us down with that heat ray of his.
I know. Now get this. There's an oxygen pipe connection right behind me.
So?
I'm opening it.
Great galaxy.
Shut up and listen. The stuff is leaking out right now, and it'll turn to vapor fast. When Deegan fires that ray, the oxygen will ignite. There'll be an explosion.
And what happens to us?
We'll have to take our chances. And we'll have to move fast to duck that ray. Now drop when he fires.
Okay.
Let me know when you're finished, huh? All right, now, you two.
Get ready.
Your interference has endangered my plans, but if I move fast enough, there's a chance for success.
Not much, Junior.
You certainly won't know about it. Hey, what's that noise?
I don't hear anything.
The oxygen. You've opened the valve. Why, you...
No, Roger!
I'll fry you.
Stay down, Roger! Stay down! The oxygen is igniting!
Well, cadets, looks like you both had real spaceman's luck.
I'll say we did, Captain Bridges.
Just a few burns, that's all.
Deegan really got the full force of the blast. Will he pull through, sir?
Yes, although I'm sure he'd rather not. Life on the prison asteroid is no bed of roses. Oh, by the way, I got an audiogram from Commander Arkwright.
Uh-oh, I'm afraid of this. How many demerits do we get?
Well, in view of what you did, he's willing to forget the whole thing.
Is that all? No medals?
Medals?
Roger, I'll settle for this any time. Not me. Why, after all the detective work I put in... You put in? Sure. Didn't I tell you back at the beginning that Deegan was our man? But no, you wouldn't listen to me. I talk and talk, but you never even...
Cadet Manning.
Yes, sir?
Haven't you wondered why Corbett never told you about using the tracer beam to locate Deegan's headquarters?
Yeah, I have.
It's just because you talk and talk. So suppose you do something about your mouth right now, eh?
Yeah, Roger. Like cramming the other foot into it, too.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Tuesday, when the crew of the Polaris receives sudden orders to blast off for Titan to take part in a mission of mercy. Tune in, same time, same station on Tuesday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the Build-Up Wheat Cereal.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in today's cast were Jan Merlin, Peter Capell, and William Keane. Today's program was written by Elwood Hoffman, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal all in one box. And no other raisin bran but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because...
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Started your Christmas shopping yet? Worried about where the money's coming from? Want to get away from it all? We offer you escape. You are seated around a green felt table with a dozen desperate men, waiting for the turn of a card. If it's the ace of spades, you will be next. And you desperately desire the impossible. Escape.
Escape. Produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to London of the last century. A London of gas lights and hansom cabs. A London where a gentleman still valued his word of honor above his life. A London of which one terrifying incident is recorded by Robert Louis Stevenson in his unforgettable story, The Young Man with the Cream Tart.
City seems to offer little amusement tonight. Well, bottoms up. Must be on our way. Right, sir. Your health.
And yours.
Please have a cream tart. Absolutely free. My compliments. Maggie, will you honor me? Sir, would you honor me?
Well, now, what's this?
A young man with a tray of cream tarts. He's giving them away.
Well, perhaps one of the terms on the bill.
Perhaps. Shall we go?
Yes, please.
I pray you accept this confection, for if you do not, I'm bound to eat it myself. You must be crazy. I was never more sane. You refuse? I do. And there's nothing for it but my 27th tart since 5 o'clock. Now there are but 2 left. You, sir.
Yes?
Will you so far honor an entire stranger? It's really excellent pastry. I should know I've eaten enough of them.
It is not the nature of a gift that is important, but the spirit in which it is offered.
The spirit, sir, is one of mockery.
Mockery? And whom do you mock?
Myself. However, my purpose at the moment is not confession, but rather distribution of these cream tarts. Won't you and your friend dispose of the last of them?
Yes. Yes, on one condition. If my friend and I eat your last 2 cakes, we shall expect you to join us at supper.
Supper? It's a horrible thought. I've already eaten 2 dozen of these pastries.
Very well, then we shall omit supper and become better acquainted over a bottle of wine.
I'm uncertain whether my repugnance for these 2 remaining tarts or the attraction of your invitation compels me, but I accept.
Excellent. Then let us finish off your pastry and seek a more quiet place.
How about Michelle's in Soho?
Splendid. Shall we go?
An excellent restaurant, excellent wine, and 2 excellent friends. I drink to your health.
And we drink to yours. I'm sure you will understand my curiosity.
But you are curious.
Naturally. Although I suspect that your story is probably a silly one.
Oh, indeed.
You may rest assured that we are 2 of the silliest men in England. My name is Goodall, Theophilus Goodall, and my friend here is Major Alfred Hammersmith.
I like you, Mr. Goodall. And you, Major Hammersmith, though I suspect this is not your right name.
It is of no importance.
Exactly, nor is my name, so I will not divulge it. Although I see no reason why I should deny you my story. It's brief and foolish.
Pray tell us then.
It's an oft-told tale. A modest fortune which I squandered in the usual ways at cards, at the horse races in Paris. Then 2 months ago I met a young lady exactly suited to my taste in mind and body. My heart melted. I was in love too late. Yesterday my solicitor warned me that I had but £100 left in the world. 40 of these I used last night for a special purpose, and I have agreeably spent the day disposing of the remaining £60 in as foolish a manner as I could devise.
And the future?
The future has been taken care of by the £40.
Is it not odd that we 3 should have met by the merest accident in so large a wilderness as London and be so nearly in the same condition?
Yes. Major Hammersmith, I was thinking the very same thing.
What's this? Are you 2 also ruined? Is this bottle of excellent wine the last folly, like my cream tart?
Very nearly so. I'm perhaps a week behind you. I still have a few banknotes in my wallet, however. Here now, this bill will take care of the bottle of wine, and the others I throw into the fire.
Oh, no. You shouldn't have burned all of them. You should have kept £40.
£40? Why?
Why not 50 or 70?
For to my certain knowledge, there were more than 100 in his wallet.
It's only just £40 he needed. But without them, there is no admission. The rule is strict.
What do you mean? I have not yet completely emptied my pocketbook.
You are not fooling me. You are indeed ruined men, like me.
Oh, indeed.
Could you muster £80 between you?
Well, let me look in my wallet. Yes, 80 and a little over.
Then you're indeed most fortunate. £40 each is the initiation fee of the Suicide Club.
The Suicide Club? What the devil is that?
The Suicide Club is death's private door. It's the ultimate convenience in our modern world. It exists for unfortunates like us. Those to whom the painful agony of corrosive poison is distasteful. For those whose courage fails them when the cold muzzle chills the forehead. For those whose fear of drowning is greater than their compulsion to die. For these sensitive misfits, the Suicide Club ranges every detail. If you are truly tired of life, I will introduce you tonight to a meeting, and I can assure you that within the week you will be relieved of the burden of living. What do you say? It's more serious than a cream tart, and I suspect more palatable.
More serious, certainly. So I wonder if you would give Mr. Goodall and me 5 minutes alone to discuss it.
Certainly. I shall wait outside.
Your Highness, This adventure must stop here.
Nonsense, Colonel Geraldine. I propose to see this through.
See it through to what? Death? You forget your obligations, not only to yourself, but to your country. Prince Florizel of Bohemia cannot risk...
Tonight I am playing Mr. Godard, and so I propose to remain. And please remember, Colonel Geraldine, under no circumstances are you to betray my incognito.
But, Your Highness...
We have survived graver adventures than this one promises to be. And now, Colonel Geraldine, let us pay our bill and accompany our young wastrel to death's private door.
Here you are, Governor.
Court. Gentlemen, we have arrived. Here you are, Caddy. Keep the change.
Oh, thank you, sir. Come on.
Well, Mr. Godard, Major Hammersmith, there is still time to change your mind.
Lead on, sir. My mind's made up.
And mine. Follow me, then.
As dark as a tomb.
Inept and concise, similarly.
Here we are, gentlemen, at death's private door. Shall we enter?
Pray, let's.
You may hang your things in here. Should be good enough to wait. I shall call the president.
Of all our follies, this is the wildest and most dangerous.
I'm beginning to believe you're right.
Let me beseech your highness.
Do not forget you are my aide-de-camp.
Not your father. Yet I am responsible to the king for your well-being.
Colonel Geraldine, you're not afraid.
Certainly not for myself, but for your highness.
Shh, quiet.
The president will see you in his office. I have vouched for you, but you must give him honest answers. The indiscretion of a single member might lead to the dispersion of the society forever. He can't afford to take that risk. Follow me. In here. He's waiting for you.
Good evening. I am told that you wish to speak to me.
We have a desire, sir, to join the Suicide Club.
Sir, you've made a mistake. This is a private house. You must leave it instantly. We have come here upon the invitation of a friend of yours. He's already told you of our desires. Believe me, sir, when one has come this far along the path, one is not likely to be turned away and certainly will tolerate little rudeness. Permit me to assure you, either you will oblige us in the matter, or you'll regret ever having admitted us to the premises. Well, now, that's more like it. This is no place for men not yet desperate. I believe you, sir. But what of your friend?
My reasons are even more cogent than Mr. Godard's. I was cashiered out of my regiment last week.
Why?
Cheating at cards.
I see. And you, sir? What is your reason for being tired of life? Unadulterated laziness. Don't trifle with me, sir. You must have a better reason than that. I have no more money, and I'm much too lazy to come by any. If I did not have a great deal of experience in these matters, I would turn you down. But I have learned that the most frivolous excuses for a suicide often cover a deep and lifelong desire for self-destruction. Thank you for your understanding, sir. Very well. To business. I shall read you the oath of membership to which you will each subscribe. I swear to obey without question the instructions of the president of this association or any of his appointed deputies. Realizing that desirable death could scarcely be a penalty for violating this oath, I am aware that any violation will be met at the discretion of the president by those means deemed suitable by him. Namely, excommunication from the church, loss of whatever honor still attaches to my name, and or, when necessary, violent reprisals against my bereaved family. In full knowledge of the sacredness of this oath, I subscribe my name. Well, gentlemen, you are in a position to enforce those penalties. I am. Hand me the pen. My friend. The pen, please. Major Hammersmith. Thank you. That'll be 40 pounds apiece, please.
Here you are.
Thank you. And now, would you like to join the members in the smoking room?
Indeed, we would.
This way, please. Just make yourself at home. Everyone's quite informal here. If you'll pardon me, I have some other matters to attend to. Come along, Major. Let's mingle with the company.
Your Highness.
Be quiet.
Oh, there you are. You got in all right, I see.
Naturally.
You'll never regret it.
I'm sure we shan't.
You care for a game of billiards or perhaps some whist?
No, not immediately, thank you. I'd like just to wander around and listen to the conversation.
You'll find it most revealing.
She had always stood in the way of anything I wanted to do. And I don't care if she was my mother. She cost me one time too often.
You may be sure I would never have joined this wretched club if I had not read The Origin of the Species by Darwin. I could not bear to be descended from an ape.
Certainly, I
understand.
There are some men who cannot abide the restrictions of the monastery. And after the abbot discovered me, there was nothing I could do. It's incomprehensible to me.
What is?
Why, this talk, this boasting, this self-justification. If a man has made up his mind to kill himself, let him do it like a gentleman. Be done with the matter.
As I told you, there are some of us more frightened of the act than of the result.
There's only one man in this room who does not seem to be in a state of hysteria.
Who is that, Mr. Godard?
Why, the gentleman sitting under the van.
Oh, yes. Yes, Mr. Malthus. Would you like to meet him?
Yes, please. These others are too obvious.
There's nothing very subtle about Mr. Malthus. He looks like death himself, wearing thick eyeglasses.
Let us discover for ourselves the reason for his relaxation.
Mr. Malthus. I should like to present two new members, Mr. Godard and Major Hammersmith.
How do you do, gentlemen?
How do you do? It's a pleasure, sir.
Won't you sit down? Newcomers. Newcomers. I envy you the novelty of your first visit. You will learn to relish it if you are spared. Why, my dear sir, this club, gentlemen, is the temple of intoxication. If my health would permit it, you may be sure I would be here more often. For this is my last dissipation. Believe me, sir, I have tried them all the vices. People trifle with love and ignorantly call it man's most powerful passion. Nonsense, sir, nonsense. Fear is the strongest passion. It is fear that you must trifle with if you wish to taste the intense joys of living. Envy me, sir. Envy me. I am a coward.
How, sir, is the excitement so artfully prolonged?
Oh, of course. I must tell you how the victim for every evening is selected, as well as the member who is to be death's high priest for the occasion.
Great heavens. You mean they kill each other?
The guilt of suicide is removed in that way.
Then I, or my friend, or you, any of us, might be selected this evening to murder another man?
Exactly.
But how have they escaped the attentions of the law?
The ingenuity of our president knows no limits. The departures always appear to be accidental.
Why, it's monstrous.
On the contrary, my dear Major, it is godlike.
Oh, yes, of course.
But, Mr. Malthus, I'm still in the dark as to how the members are selected for the evening's work.
Oh, of course, I forgot to explain. But I see that the others are filing into the card room now, and the play is about to begin. You shall see for yourself. Will you lend me the help of your arm? I'm quite paralyzed, you know.
Oh, of course.
Thank you. This is the moment for which I live. The quintessence of poignancy. The ultimate of passion. Coming here as infrequently as I do, I've savored this bitter taste of fear longer than the others. But my turn will come. Who knows? Perhaps tonight.
But how is it done? Tell us what to expect.
Oh, it's so simple. The president deals from an ordinary deck playing cards, and each man turns up his card as he receives it. The ace of spades, the card of death. The ace of clubs designates the official of the night.
The murderer.
If you like. Here, 3 cheers together. Happy young men. You have good eyes and can follow the cards. I only make out the faces.
Is everyone here?
My friend, we still have a fighting chance to escape. Quiet. Let us play the game.
Attention, gentlemen.
3 of clubs. Jack of hearts. 10 of diamonds. King of clubs. Queen of hearts.
our young man of the cream tarts.
He's drawn the ace of clubs.
I came here to be killed, not to kill. I want to
Gentlemen.
die, not murdered.
I must caution the members against such unseemly outbursts.
I don't want
Since the ace of spades has not yet turned up, I will continue the deal.
Ace of hearts.
Seven of clubs.
King of diamonds.
Jack of spades.
Ace? Oh, ace. Mr. Malthus.
That concludes the play for the night, gentlemen. Will the member who drew the ace of clubs come to my office for his instructions?
Did your Highness ring?
Yes. Good morning, Godric.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, I shall have my breakfast in bed this morning.
Yes, Your Highness. And Colonel Geraldine has been waiting for you to awaken.
Oh, very well. Show him in.
Thank you, Your Highness. Colonel, His Highness will see you now.
Good morning, Geraldine. Sleep well?
Not too well.
Did I dream it, or were we initiated into the suicide club last night? Seems like a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. But you didn't dream it. Here, look at this. The morning paper.
Huh? Melancholy accident. This morning, about 2 o'clock, Mr. Bartholomew Malthus of 16 Chepstow Place, Westbourne Grove, on his way home from a party at a friend's house, fell off the upper parapet in Trafalgar Square, fracturing his skull. Death was instantaneous. Mr. Malthus, accompanied by a friend, was engaged in looking for a cab at the time.
His father's soul went straight to hell. It was that poor paralytic.
Yes. At least he's dead and out of it. But think of our young man of the cream tarts. Last night that lad was as innocent as you and I. This morning he is a murderer.
Thank heavens we're safely out of it.
Are we?
Oh, no. You're not going to return.
I must.
You are infected with a passion of fear just as poor Malthus was.
Perhaps. Whatever it is. Tonight, once more, we take our places at the table of the Suicide Club.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Goodall. Back again to try your luck?
Yes, indeed.
And Major Hammersmith?
Good evening. You are to be congratulated, sir, on the matter of Mr. Malthus. Very neatly handled.
Thank you. But I shall miss poor old Malthus. He was a man I could talk to.
Yes, your bereavement must weigh heavily upon you.
Indeed it does, sir. But then it's all in the game. And now, you will pardon me, we will sit down to play directly.
The fiend. The foul fiend of hell.
Steady, my friend.
Once more, let me plead with you. Leave this evil house before it's too late.
You're very tiresome tonight. Oh, here's our young friend of the cream tarts. Good evening, old chap.
Oh, Mr. Goodall, Mr. Hammersmith. Oh, how I wish I'd never brought you to this infamous place. Oh, leave. Leave while your hands are still clean.
But our oath. We cannot go back upon our oath.
Well, renounce it. Forget everything. Let them do their worst, but leave. Leave before it's too late. Wait, if you could have heard the old man scream as I pushed him from the parapet. The crunch of his brittle bones as he fluttered to the pavement.
Yes, I perceive the dealing is about to begin. Shall we go in?
Yes. Mr. Goodall, if you have any kindness in your soul, wish the ace of spades for me tonight. There's nothing left for me but to die.
Attention, gentlemen.
3 of hearts.
Queen of spades.
Ace of diamonds.
times around and neither black ace has come up. We are just 13. This at the table. This fourth round. This will tell the tale.
And I am next to last.
Hey. Oh, God! Only 4 more cards. King of Spades. Oh, pray for me, Mr. Godal. Pray for me. I have 1 chance in 3. Pray that I get the ace. 6 of diamonds.
And now, I have 1 chance in 2.
My friend, don't.
Silence. Ace of Spades.
Very well. That concludes tonight's play, gentlemen.
Oh, Mr. Godal, I'd give $1 million if I had it for your luck.
I would sell you this card for much less if I could.
Well, Mr. Goodall, my congratulations. I am pleased to have met you, sir, and to have been in the position to do you this trifling service. At least you can't complain of delay.
Yes. And now, before I leave forever, I should like to ask a question. A purely hypothetical question, of course, since I am not a man to go back upon my word.
But you wonder what would happen if you did. If upon the turning of the card you had changed your mind and now wish to live?
Precisely. Suppose my friend Major Hammersmith and I elected to ignore our oath. Suppose we began by tearing this place apart.
You wouldn't even get started. The guests themselves are desperate men, but if they did not stop you, the servants, who are even more desperate, would. You would never leave this house alive.
I see. Well, it was purely an academic question.
Naturally.
Very well, then. What are my instructions?
You will proceed along the Strand in the direction of the city, on the left-hand pavement, until you come upon a black carriage with drawn curtains. In this carriage will be the member who has tonight drawn the ace of clubs.
My executioner.
Your collaborator in suicide. You will enter the carriage, and he will continue your instructions. Please have the kindness to obey him in every detail. The authority of the club is vested in his person for the night. I wish you a pleasant walk.
Thank you. But first I must say farewell to my friend, Major Hammersmith.
I regret that is strictly against the rules. No farewells. Too disturbing for the still living members. You will leave through this side door to the workroom.
But I must have...
We won't have any trouble now, will we, Mr. Goodall?
No. No, of course not.
Your coat? And hat? Your stick.
Thank you.
Again, Mr. Goodall. A most pleasant walk.
Death's private door. Why didn't I listen to Geraldine before it was too late?
What is this?
My instructions are to meet the coach in the Strand.
We'll take this coach right now. Get in with you, me. All right. Take us on the way.
Your Highness will pardon the violation of his person.
Geraldine. Oh, my friend.
It was quite necessary under the circumstances. As soon as you turned up the ace of spades, I slipped out of the house to prepare for your escape.
But how did you manage it?
When I realized I could not dissuade you from attending the club tonight, I retained the services of a certain capable and reliable private detective.
But
his secrecy has been bought and paid for. His men are now raiding the suicide club. The members will be removed to your townhouse, where it remains for you to pass judgment upon them.
That I will gladly do, and with the utmost dispatch.
What have they brought us here for? They didn't look like Scotland Yard men to me.
What difference does it make?
Perhaps this will be a quicker way out. Gentlemen.
Why, that's my friend, Major Hammersmith.
His Royal Highness, Prince Florizel of Bohemia.
Why, that's Mr. Godin. Always thought there was something odd about this, too.
Gentlemen, tonight we have removed you from a house of death to a house of life and hope. Those of you who have come to your present condition through lack of fortune will receive employment and remuneration from my treasury. Those who have been driven to this unnatural solution of their problem by the agonies of guilt must find amnesty from a power greater than mine. Power that eternally promises the forgiveness of sins, no matter how grievous. Only one of you is truly evil, and him I shall deal with myself. Where is he? Where is the president of the club?
Colonel Geraldine. Why, he should be here, Your Highness. Waiting your Highness, pardon. Who's this man, Geraldine? The chief of the detectives. Yes? What is it? Was you referring to the sallow chap with the sword whiskers and the black suit?
Yes, that's the one. The president of the Suicide Club. Where is he?
Yeah, yes.
Why not?
Well, when we broke into the little office down there at the club, we found him sprawled over the desk with a little empty bottle in his hand. He'd committed suicide.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you The Young Man with the Cream Tarts by Robert Louis Stevenson, adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson, with Paul Frees as Prince Florizel, Bill Johnstone as Colonel Geraldine, and Barton Yarborough as the young man. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Pure. Next week,
after you've put in a tough day at the office, leaning over a hot stove, when your four walls seem to be closing in on you, next week when you want to get away from it all, we offer you escape.
Wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot roastin' present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed adventure, Buzz and Happy have trapped one of Prince Baccarati's spies in a sub-basement in Jupiter City. Cautiously, the spy presses a concealed button and slips through a secret opening.
Commander, there he goes.
Oh, it's no use, Happy. We could never break it down.
That's right, Corey. You can't escape.
Sirkin's voice is coming from that speaker up there. Sirkin, listen to me.
You listen to me. I'm getting off this planet, Corey. Prince Baccarati tipped me off that a guided missile has been launched toward Jupiter City. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, Target Jupiter. It's Saturday, gang, no school, and here's a bunch of Space Patrollers who have real big plans for this weekend. They're packing up for a camping trip out on the mountains. In go the tents. In goes the hiking equipment. Yes, sir, they're packing power and energy now with a big case of bite-sized rice checks and bite-sized wheat checks, those super cereals that help us supercharge you. And, gang, not only are rice checks and wheat checks the best-tasting cereals in the universe, but no other cereal, flaked or puffed, contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. Nourishment that adds up to more zip and bounce and sparkle for you. And Space Patrollers, September is Better Breakfast Month. So now's the time to start pulling up to your table every morning and having yourself a better breakfast with bite-sized Rice Chex or bite-sized Wheat Chex. They're out, power-packed and ready for anything. They had their bite-sized Chex today. Now, how about you? And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, Target Jupiter. Commander Corey has Prince Baccarati's chief henchman, Dr. Malengro, in custody on the planet Terra, following his capture on one of Saturn's moons. Baccarati managed to escape while Buzz and Happy were rescuing Malengro from a perilous situation into which Baccarati thrust the brilliant but corrupt Malengro. Following Commander Corey's instructions, Major Robertson is preparing to give Dr. Malengro a brainograph test to learn details of Baccarati's defenses on Planet X. Now, in the commander's central office, Cadet Happy is carefully adjusting the spaceophone receiver while Buzz reviews a few known facts about Baccarati's defenses.
I think this ought to do it, Happy.
Are you all ready to give Malengro the brainograph test, sir?
Yes, well, I have enough key questions here to bring out most of Malengro's knowledge of Baccarati's weapons. And also, if we're lucky, Baccarati's immediate plan.
Yeah, I guess Malengro knows just about everything Baccarati plans to do.
Oh, by the way, did you pick up that signal again, the one for me from outer space?
Oh, no, sir, not again.
If it was a patrol ship, they would have used one of the regular relay frequencies. They would have reached me through regular communications. Well, shut off the spacephone. Let's go down to the brainograph chamber.
Yes, sir.
Calling Commander Corey at Terra headquarters.
There it is, sir.
Prince Baccarati on Planet X calling Commander Corey at Space Patrol headquarters, Terra.
Baccarati?
Let's see what he's up to now. Corey here. Go ahead, Baccarati.
Just listen, Corey. This is a warning and an ultimatum. I want Dr. Malengro released immediately.
That sounds a little ridiculous, Baccarati. Not long ago, you tried to kill him just so you could escape.
I'm not speaking out of sentiment, Corey. Malengro has information about Planet X that would be inconvenient for you to know. I'm warning you, unless you put Dr. Malengro on the spaceophone and assure me that he will be returned to Planet X, I'll destroy Terra.
Yes? How?
This is no bluff, Commander. I can blast a guided missile into Terra and wipe out the capital of the United Planets. And I'll do it.
You do that just to get Malengro back?
Whether he comes back or not is up to you. If he goes under the brainograph, I'll blast Terra apart before you can use that information against me.
What are you going to do, sir? There's no use appealing to his reason or decency. Baccarati, do you take my word that Malengro has not been given a brainograph test?
You might lie to me to save Terra. Bring Malengro to the spaceophone. I want to hear it from him.
All right, Baccarati, I'll get him. Come on, Happy. We'll go over to the security lab and have Major Robertson release Malengro. Robbie.
Oh, Commander, I'm glad you're here.
Robbie, I just heard from Baccarati. We're going to blast Terra with a guided missile unless we return Malengro to Planet X immediately.
I'm not sure that's possible.
You started the treatments already?
Well, no, sir. We didn't have a chance to start.
So why? What's wrong?
Malengro's in a deep coma, Commander. He evidently had some chemical concealed on him. Dr. Stevens and I have been working on him, trying to bring him to. Nothing we've tried has had any effect. He's practically in suspended animation, sir.
Oh, how's he going to talk to Baccarati?
He can't. Well, come on. Let's go back and give the news.
It's a trick, Corey. You're lying to me.
I'm not lying, Baccarati. Dr. Malengro has put himself into a state of suspended animation.
Ah, then he outwitted you, Corey. You might as well turn him over to me.
Suppose I refuse.
I'll carry out my threat to destroy Terra.
If I send out a ship with Malengro on it, will you guarantee its safe return?
You mean you'll accept my word?
I'll have to under the circumstances.
I can't afford that luxury myself, Commander. How do I know you won't try to trick me?
If you don't trust me, how are you going to get Malengro back?
Put Dr. Malengro in a spacesuit and drop him out in space. I'll give you precise instructions. My men will pick up Malengro when we are certain those space patrol ships are around.
All right, Baccarati. Let's have the space coordinates. I'll return Malengro myself.
True to his word, Commander Corey has Dr. Malengro placed in a spacesuit. And then he and Happy drop the unconscious man off in space as directed by Baccarati and head back toward Terra.
I sure wish we'd got some information from Malengro while we had him. Maybe Baccarati couldn't have destroyed Terra after all.
Maybe not. But I couldn't place thousands of people in danger just to hold Malengro.
Major Robertson, Terra Headquarters, calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5. Major Robertson to Commander Corey.
Corey here. Go ahead, Robbie.
We just picked up a brief message from Baccarati. He picked up Malengo.
Good. Just keep all Space Patrol ships on the alert in the Terra perimeter. We can't trust Baccarati.
Right, Commander. Well, we just received some interesting information from Jupiter Headquarters. Within the past 12 hours, 7 of Baccarati's spies have left Jupiter City.
Do you know where they went?
Well, 2 went to Saturn. 1 seems headed for Venus. The other 4 are still being tailed by our agents.
What about Baccarati's men on Terra?
No activity. At least among those we know about.
Now, those 7 who left Jupiter, are they the only known spies on that planet?
Oh, no, sir. There's 1 more still in Jupiter City. And there are 3 in Kepler City.
Well, that man's still in Jupiter City. Who is he?
Rupert Zirkin. He claims to be a purchasing agent for Outer Planet Space Lines. And in the last year, he's paid out 200,000 credits to manufacturers.
I see.
The odd part of it is that Outer Planet hasn't placed that much business with Zirkin.
But Zirkin is with Outer Planet Lines.
Yeah, it's a minor official in the purchasing department. Outer Planet Space Lines is on the up and up, all right. They voluntarily showed their books to our agents.
And Zirkin is using Outer Planet Lines as a cover for someone else. Obviously, Baccarati.
The way I've got it figured, Commander. The president of the company wanted to discharge Zirkin, but our agents persuaded him to give him more rope.
Good. Happy and I are going to Jupiter City. I want to find out what's keeping Zirkin in town when Baccarati's other spies have left.
A few hours later, in Jupiter City, Commander Corey reviews the files on Rupert Zirkin and talks to the agent who has been watching the spy. Now, in civilian clothes, Buzz and Happy are strolling through a small park in the pleasant residential section of Jupiter City.
Well, that's Zirkin's apartment right across the street, Happy, on the ground floor on the left.
Nice place. Not too fancy.
It's just the sort of place a man with Zirkin's position in the spaceship company should have.
Remember, a man's coming around the corner. And from the way he's stepping it off, he's in a hurry.
It's Zirkin. Apparently, his visit to the Technoplast labs was a success. Let's find out. Yes? Mr. Zirkin? Yes, what can I do for you? I'd like to talk to you inside, if you don't mind. Well, I'm rather busy, but come in. Thanks. Come on, Zirkin. Now, what was this in regard to, Mr. Corey? You're with Outer Planet Space Lines, is that right? Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm working on an important deal for them right now. So if you'll please be brief, I'll appreciate it. Of course. The deal involves Technoplast Labs. You've just come from a meeting with their production supervisor, Franklin Delaporte, I believe. Yes, we discussed the purchase of 8 tons of Vetafoil, is that right? I was under the impression that my meeting with Delaporte was a private business matter, Mr. Corey. Commander Corey of the Space Patrol. I assume you're aware that the government authorization you showed to Mr. Delaporte was a forgery. Outer Planet Space Lines has never applied for a permit to buy Vetafoil. Just a minute. You know what Vetafoil is, don't you? Not exactly. You're a purchasing agent. Don't you know what you're purchasing? I buy thousands of different items and materials. I do it by lot number, by name, by code. All right, Happy. Tell Mr. Zirkin what Vetafoil is.
It's the only known substance that'll confuse viewscope beams. A spaceship covered with Vetafoil will bounce viewscope beams back in all directions and at reduced frequencies. Frequencies that the ordinary viewscope can't detect.
All right, Zirkin. Who do you know that would be interested in obtaining a large quantity of that substance? I don't run Outer Planet. Take it up with the top brass. I already have, Mr. Zirkin. Outer Planet has no plans involving the use of Vetafoil. I don't understand. You're working for someone else besides Outer Planet. You've used several 100,000 credits belonging to someone else to buy materials in the name of Outer Planet. I want to know who put up that money. Is it Prince Baccarati? Come on, is it? We know you're one of Baccarati's spies. You can save yourself a lot of trouble by telling us the whole story. All right, Commander. I guess it's no use. You and the other spies have been trailed ever since we picked up some evidence at Baccarati's communications center on Saturn's 6th moon. How do you contact Baccarati? In the sub-basement. The space aquarium. All the records are there. I'll show you. All right, sir. Take us down there. Watch him. There's a concealed door here. Go on in, Zirkin. You'll find most of the evidence in those filing cabinets. Uh-huh. Where's the spaceophone? There's a panel in this wall.
Another door.
And it's my way out.
Grab him, Happy.
You're too late, Commander.
Happy, out the other door, quick.
It's closing.
No, it's too late. Look for that secret patch in the side wall.
It's not very well hidden. You can find it, but it won't do you any good.
Serkin's voice coming from that speaker up there.
Serkin, listen to me.
No, you listen to me. You can't escape, Corey. The release mechanism works only from my fingerprints. You can stay in there till the entire city is destroyed.
What are you talking about?
You probably know about Prince Baccarati's agents leaving Jupiter City, don't you?
Yes, what about it?
Prince Baccarati tipped us off that he was blasting a guided missile into the city at 1500 hours Universal Star Time. That's less than half an hour from now.
A guided missile? Where's he launching it from?
One of Jupiter's moons. By this time, it's already on its way. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Here's a salute to the famous jet plane assigned to the vital Air Force mission of defending America's homeland, the F-94C Starfire, built by the Lockheed Aircraft Corporation, Burbank, California. Now, in just a moment, you'll hear from Tony LaVere, test pilot on the Starfire. Within seconds after warning, this radar-controlled interceptor can be off the ground and streaking to 45,000 feet or higher. Packing 48 rockets, it can fly and fight in sunshine or pitch darkness at speeds of more than 600 miles an hour. On landing, the Starfire can be brought to a quick stop by a parachute, which pops from its tail. And now, Tony LaVere.
You know, good health is important to a test pilot, and I have to stay in top condition. I get lots of rest and eat plenty of good food. That's why I like a good cereal for breakfast, like rice checks or wheat checks. They have real energy and they taste swell. Why don't you try them?
No other cereal, puff, or flake contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. Get them at your grocers today. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, Target Jupiter. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy have been locked in a sub-basement on Jupiter by one of Prince Baccarati's spies, who has told Buzz that a guided missile has been released from one of the Jupiter moons and will strike the city at 1500 hours. Now, with less than 30 minutes in which to save the city from disaster, Buzz and Happy tried desperately to escape from their prison.
It's no use, Happy.
What are we going to do, sir? If Serkin is right, there's a guided missile beelining for Jupiter City right now.
Serkin won't waste any time getting out of the city. Chances are he's headed for the spaceport.
Maybe one of our agents will grab him, sir, and then he'll tell what's happening to save his own skin.
With half an hour's warning, an ordinary guided missile might be stopped before it hits, but if it's covered with radar foil, it couldn't be detected.
Do you think Baccarati could have got a hold of some radar foil already, sir?
That's possible. You know, he ordered 8 tons through Serkin. Well, we can't take a chance on Serkin being caught. We've got to alert the Space Patrol.
Well, then let's start hacking at the walls with that bar, sir. It's the only thing we can do.
Wait, Hap, hold it. Look up there.
Huh? Oh, a ventilator grating.
Right. If we remove that grating, we might be able to crawl through to another part of Serkin's apartment.
It'll be a tight squeeze, but well, give me a boost and we'll try.
As Buzz and Happy pry loose the grating over the ventilator, Prince Baccarati and Dr. Malengo follow the deadly trajectory of a guided missile on a viewscope screen from a hideout on one of the 12 moons of Jupiter.
It's on course, Your Highness. In 24 minutes, the missile will strike Jupiter City.
It's too bad Serkin couldn't get the rest of those 8 tons of radar foil off the pan in time. We could have used it.
Perhaps it's just as well.
You're right, Malengo. Serkin wasn't inefficient, as I had hoped. At any rate, the radar foil on this missile will get it through the Jupiter defense perimeter.
Yes, unless a patrol ship gets directly on stern of the missile the way we are, they'll never detect it.
And even if they do, it'll be receding from them. Anything they fire at it from that trajectory will hit Jupiter City, too.
Back in Jupiter City, Buzz and Happy worked their way inch by inch through the ventilator pipe. Finally, at a turn in the conduit, Happy calls back to the commander.
I've reached the grating, sir. From what I can see, it looks like the main entrance.
Good. See if you can force the grating.
Yes, sir. Oh, I can't budge it, sir. I keep slipping back into the vent.
I've got my legs braced in the turn. I'll hold your feet in my hand. All set? Now, push.
I think it's giving way, sir. I did it, sir.
I can crawl out now.
Good boy, Hap. I'll give you a hand.
We're coming out right by the main entrance, Commander.
As soon as you're out, rush for the street, Hap. You can get a surface cab. You can alert Space Patrol headquarters before we reach the space.
Rushing out of Rupert Serkin's apartment, Buzz and Happy hail a passing surface cab. Issuing commands through the cab's spaceophone, Buzz alerts the Jupiter Defense Squadron. A few moments later, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are spaceborne over Jupiter in the Terra 5. Simultaneously, around the Jupiter Defense perimeter, viewscopes are trained on the 12 moons. And as computers go into operation, the sensitive space monitors are trained on the 4 moons from which missiles could be successfully launched to strike Jupiter City at 1500 hours. From his spaceship, Buzz establishes contact in space control with several patrol ships. And then, as Happy monitors the viewscope scanner, Buzz checks with the Jupiter City headquarters.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Major Robertson.
Robbie here. Go ahead, Commander.
Can you give me a report from Central Analyzer as of 1500 minus 5 minutes?
Oh, sure, Commander. Jupiter moons number 2, 5, 8, and 11 are now possible launching points. All others are eliminated.
Check.
Control ships report no objects projecting from these moons.
There's something funny in this viewscope.
Just a minute, Happy. Go ahead, Robbie.
We received reports of a strange interference signal from several patrol ships beamed toward moon number 4.
What kind of interference?
Well, I can't explain it, sir, except to say it's like a big hole in the viewscope screen. Stars, other planets, everything's blotted out.
Commander, that's just what's happening in our screen.
The effect radar foil would make Happy. Robbie, stand by for special orders.
Standing by, sir.
Some unknown object is headed toward Jupiter from moon number 4. We can't locate it exactly because of radar foil interference. No one ship can pinpoint the source. I want all patrol ships to spaceophone a signal when their viewscopes are centered directly on this interference. By combining all the signals, you may be able to compute the exact vector.
I'll relay your instructions, Commander.
With a special signal, each ship of the squadron relays to Commander Corey the estimated center of a blurred viewscope image. And as the data is received, Cadet Happy rapidly computes the trajectory.
I sure hope this works, sir.
Keep working, Hap. You're centering on the target. Stand by to fire space torpedoes.
Standing by, sir.
I've put our ship on the theoretical vector of the guided missile, Hap.
That bright dot in the viewscope should be the guided missile.
Fire number 1.
Oh, that was a miss, Commander. The dot's still there.
Fire 2.
Oh, missed again.
This is our last chance, Hap. If we miss this time, Jupiter City's finished. Fire 3.
We did it. The viewscope is clear.
Not a second too soon, Hap. Did you have a chance to make a record of the trajectory of that missile?
Yes, sir. It's on the Instaphone.
Run it back. We'll find out where
Something went wrong, Malengo.
The missile blew up before it hit Jupiter City. It was 50 miles short of its target.
Malengo, you told me these missiles were foolproof.
The Space Patrol must have hit it, Your Highness.
With the radio foil interference, impossible.
It was sure luck. It can't happen again. We can launch another missile at Jupiter City.
Stop. Wait. They'll expect that. Prepare a missile for Kepler City.
But, Your Highness, we can't hit Kepler City for moon number 4 not till Jupiter revolves into position.
Jupiter revolves very rapidly, Malengo. Get to work. Align the launching mechanism.
But, Your Highness, how about your agents in Kepler City? You don't want to destroy them, do you?
Yeah. They may have information I can use.
All right. We'll spaceophone them a warning to leave immediately. But don't tell them.
Meanwhile, Commander Corey has ordered the extra patrol ships to return to their base at Jupiter City. Now, as he and Happy point the long, needle-nosed spaceship Terra 5 toward the capital of the planet Jupiter, a familiar voice booms from the spaceophone.
Major Roberts, Space Patrol Headquarters Terra, calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5.
Corey here. Go ahead, Robbie.
Hey, congratulations, Commander. Just heard you intercepted Baccarati's dose from death before it hit Jupiter City.
Thanks, Robbie. I'm keeping regular patrols on the alert, though. He may try it again.
Say, I picked up some information you might be interested in, Commander. Baccarati's agents are leaving Kepler City.
They are?
Yeah, it seems to be a rush order, sir. What do you make of it?
It's hard to say, Robbie. Wait a minute. His agents left Jupiter City just before he launched that missile.
Hey, Maybe Kepler City's next.
It looks like it, Robbie. Hap,
Yes, sir?
have you computed that missile trajectory?
Well, I'm not too sure of the results, sir. The radar poll makes it pretty hard to be precise.
Where do you think it came from?
Well, right now, it looks like moon number 4, sir. Although it might be moon number 6.
Let's see the astrogation time.
Yes, sir.
As far as Jupiter City is concerned, it could be even. But for Kepler City,
Well, moon number 6 won't be in the right position for several hours yet, Commander.
I'll check on 4, but I'll order a squadron to patrol 6 just as a precaution. Robbie.
Yes, Commander?
Right now, it looks as though Moon 4 is the launching site. Below the horizon from Kepler City at the moment, but in a few hours, it'll be in position. I'm going to order Squadron 3 to accompany me to Moon number 4.
Everything ready, Dr. Malengo? Yes, Your Highness. I've computed the launching time. It's 18:27 and 43 8/10 seconds.
It's less than 10 minutes. Now, you're sure nothing will go wrong?
It can't, Your Highness. Kepler City will be completely destroyed.
Look. What's that in the viewscope?
A spaceship.
What is it doing over this part of the moon?
Your Highness, it's a space patrol ship.
It's Terra 5. It's Commander Corey.
I'm searching for it, Your Highness. I have fixed I'll go into bits.
Malengo, don't fire at him just yet. I have an idea.
Hold at this altitude, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Watch the viewscope carefully. Dr. Roddy's probably got the launching site camouflaged.
Any time now, I could be blasting the missile toward Kepler City, according to my calculations.
If we don't locate the launching site before blast-off, the launching itself can show us where it is.
I've got the space torpedo on the ready, Commander.
With little luck, we'll be close enough to track the missile, whether it's coated with radar foil or not.
Commander, look out! Wow.
That was a space torpedo, Happy.
And was it close? Dr. Roddy must have seen us.
Yes, he gave himself away by firing that torpedo. The launching site is on top of that peak.
You're right, sir. I see it now.
Terrific job of camouflage. If I hadn't seen the flash when the space torpedo was launched, I'd have missed it completely.
Commander, look. There's a guided missile rolling out of the tunnel, right up to the launching chute.
I'm getting ready to fire it, Hap. We'll have to blast it. Stand by to fire space torpedo.
Standing by, sir.
Have to get into position before it's launched. Just this one ship after it. We could never locate it with a viewscope.
No, sir. Not with that radar foil on the hull.
Fire, Hap.
Wow.
A direct hit, Hap. He destroyed the missile.
Smoke and rockets, the entire peak is gone. Leveled flat. Well, I guess that takes care of Prince Baccarati for good.
Does it?
Well, doesn't it, sir?
I don't know. I don't know.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Something strange is happening outside Commander Corey's private quarters.
Say, it looks like someone's tiptoeing in. Now he's going through the commander's papers. Who is this ominous intruder?
What can he be searching for in the quarters of the Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol?
Someone else is coming.
Happy.
Hello, Commander.
Looking for something?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but I heard you tell Major Robertson that the key to the greatest secret ever to be revealed on Space Patrol is here in your desk. And, well, I just had to know about it, but I can't seem to find it.
Can't you, Happy? Well, maybe I'd better tell you. And you too, Space Patrollers. Believe me, it's really an exciting secret. A secret prize. The biggest prize ever given away to any boy or girl. And here in the desk, the key to that secret prize.
A box of hot Ralston? But I don't get it, Commander.
Open the box, Hap.
Oh, okay, sir. But I still don't see... Hey, there's a coin in here. A space coin.
Right, Hap. And Space Patrollers, the swell-looking coin that you'll find in every box of hot Ralston is your opportunity to win a gigantic prize that no other boy or girl on Earth has ever owned. So go to your grocer's right away. Get yourself some good hot Ralston, either instant or regular, in the new package with a picture of Cadet Happy or myself on the outside and the handsome space coin inside. Be sure to save that coin. And be sure you're listening to Space Patrol next week, because you're going to find out all about the biggest prize ever given away to any boy or girl.
Next week on Space Patrol, the biggest prize ever given to any boy or girl. Wow. I'm going to get a box of hot Ralston with the swell space coin right away.
How about you? And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are in a tunnel under the surface of Jupiter's fourth moon looking for Prince Baccarati. Cautiously, they stalk through compartment after compartment in the long, dimly lighted passage.
I think there's another door up ahead. Why are these compartments open?
Keep air in the tunnel in case either end is open. Judging by the upward slope of the floor, we're not far from the end of the tunnel.
Hit the ground, Happy. It's a blasting. Why do you see us?
Stop me right over our head. Hand me the disintegrator before he fires again.
I dropped it when I hit the ground, sir. It's out of reach.
Keep down, Hap, so he can't see us.
I've got you now, Corey. All I got to do is keep blasting away till I hit you.
Be sure to join us again next week for the thrilling story, Return to Planet X, when Wheat Checks, Rice Checks, and Good Hot Wilson again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Debris. Other players were Bela Kovach, Ken Mayer, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufeld speaking. Our thanks to the New Jersey State Fair Committee for awarding Space Patrol its coveted Blue Ribbon Award for the outstanding television and radio show of its type. The award will be on display at the New Jersey State Fair September 22nd through October 4th. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Wheat Checks, Rice Checks, and Good Hot Wilson again present Space Patrol! Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story in your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.